and roll. And here we go to BOE for our best of 5 series. The team that wins the series qualifies for the Bloodlust main event with over $4,000 in prizing. Again, you can contribute to that prizing if you so wish to buy a shirt or just throw in $5, whatever you want to do to give the players more to work towards. Over $5,000 total in prizing, and the main event is 2 weeks from today.
See, Peck the Man said these two. I've been saying it right the whole time. So, but I didn't know that it meant spicy. So I say spicy picante every now and again. So I've actually just been saying spicy,
nice.
spicy. Oh, whoops. Today I learned, I suppose. Nubrak was the ban. Ariel gets snatched off the board, and then Uther for the first pick for Donkey Zaras.
Ariel ban has been a pretty common storyline. They do the first pick, not at all unexpected, but it leaves open a lot of those big damage options. You think of the Genji as being very good. You think of the Greymane as being very good. They're just going straight for the Genji Tassadar. And this is a map where like the Tracer is super good as well. Having Genji, Tracer, Tassadar, I don't think I've ever seen that before. And suddenly that's on the table. Well, of course it could be banned, but
it is not out of the question at all, especially if they want to go for a more ambush style of play on this battleground. You know, Genji, you're not taking him to burn down the Immortal. You're getting him to set up takedowns. And this is one of the battlegrounds where I feel he most excels at that. Like, he just cyber agilities over the wall, bursts someone down, dashes in, dashes out. Tracer could definitely add on to that as well. It would split the focus of Tassadar. Normally, you want to just try to put a shield on one of those, and it's like, you guys are both pretty squishy. I don't know what I'm going to do for both of y'all, so I'm curious to see what support they're looking to back that up with. But it's definitely an option and something that Donkey Zaras have to worry about.
Donkey Zaras versus Firm Handshake, and they're going for the Stitches All-Arak. This is a LZ special lately. He's been playing a lot of the All-Arak, and you know, Haloran looks like you guys are BFFs now.
Oh, I'm a filthy All-Arak main these days, man. He's too fun. When you yank someone out of position and just put that Discord strike on him, and you're just like, I know, I did this. I set up this kill. It's definitely a feels good, man. I'm curious to see what kind of synergy they have with the Stitches hook. I think there could be some potential counter synergy there, as far as overlap, or just like, hey, I was about to hook that guy, and you just moved him out, and then he avoided the hook, and now he just gets to walk away for free. That's something that could easily happen. Genji could jump around. That's going to be hard for a hook or a telekinesis combo to land from Alarak. So curious to see how they play it.
Yeah, I love watching the Alarak on this map. It's so exciting. I hate that skin though. It creeps me out. So fix that and we're good. Li Ming is going to be that ranged assassin, just taking away some of that burst damage that could be followed up from the hook or the telekinesis. Not at all worried about anything else. This could be that Tracer ban that we were alluding to earlier. What else could they ban? They could ban a support if they so please.
I think a safe choice as well could also be Vala. Vala could fill that role of Tracer, bring some of that poke option, some of the burst elements to the table, as well as strong Immortal burn. Tracer definitely lacks on that front, I feel. It's definitely not her strong suit. So there's a lot of different things that this Genji Tassadar want to pose as a threat, and makes you wonder where they're going to end up going. So far, we see the Greymane getting hovered. That's another really strong choice. Cursed Bullet on Stitches feels bad.
Yeah, Greymane's just fantastic race too. You throw him that Worgen form and just starts rending through the flesh of that Immortal very quickly. 2 seconds left. Looks like they will commit to the Greymane. There he goes. So Tracer is left open. Will Firm Handshake try to play that with the Tassadar?
You know, the more I'm thinking about it, I'm just letting Skullix know that there's a family emergency for them, so unfortunately they had to bow out. Greymane is going to be a ban. Tracer could very well be an option here for the members of Firm Handshake, but I think that's going to bring a lot more added value to the Uther selection early in the draft for Donkey Zaras.
Yeah.
That insta-stun on both Genji or Tracer.
That's
if
true.
they do go Tracer, you could very well see a Divine Storm as well.
Yeah, that is a little risky at that point.
Alarak shows up with a Discord strike, so either way, even if it's just Genji, there's a lot to worry about if you're on Firm Handshake right now.
Yeah, well, when it comes to their situation right now, they will need another support. The power of a global like Brightwing, not super prominent. So it should just be like the Rhaegar. Could be the Kharazim. Kharazim is very good on this map in particular. And with the Tassadar, just, you know, a lot of good harmony between the two. 2 seconds left. They do Muradin for their front line and Lunar for the DPS, leaving that last likely support spot flexible.
I really like seeing Lunara, not only in general, but also on this battleground. You have a lot of options available to you. Lunar is also a pretty strong counter to Uther, I feel, especially if they take Splintered Spear at 7. Spread that damage around. Uther's a very single target, long cooldown oriented as far as his support goes. Lunara counters that pretty well. So I do think the Firm Handshake have done a solid job there. We've actually seen Muradin take something of a dip in priority and use in the current meta. Because his initial stun, it sets up some lockdown in some plays, but it's just not as impactful as like in a new wreck or something like that.
It's true. I like him on this map because there's like a lot of like slower fights over the Immortals, and the trait does end up getting a lot of value usually, where you can just kind of fall out of the fight, heal up, and then re-engage. And that takes some of the burden off the support's mana pool. But we'll see how it works out here. Brightwing will end up being picked up, so they're trying to restrict the support options. Brightwing's also very good against the diving Genji, or even the Muradin, making him vulnerable from being able to Dwarf Toss away. Vala with the Monster Hunter build being an option is really scary as well. And just think of the lockdown here. We've got Hammer of Justice, we've got Hook, we've got Telekinesis, we've got Polymorph, and we've got Rain of Vengeance. You do not want to be on the receiving end of that.
No, I mean, if you're this Genji player, you very well might be shaking in your boots right now. Even without Divine Storm, you have Uther Stun, Discord Strike for Silence, Polymorph afterwards. Hook brings you into all that. Rain of Vengeance is going to be a very viable and strong option for the heroics for Vala. Whoever gets caught in it, I don't care who the support is, like, you could get taken down real quick. So I really like the setup for Donkeys R Us right now.
One final hero we picked up, Lone Support Tassadar, is a fabled thing that we have not seen in a very long time, and it will be Malfurion for that last spot. I think that's fine. It's just, if Malf gets hooked, that's rough.
Honestly, I'm wondering if it's just a comfort thing. If you know, I play my best on Malfurion. If that was the conversation that was had on Firm Handshake. But I think they might have won a Kharazim or Rhaegar.
Yeah, that's what I was...
Rhaegar adds a ton of burn with Lightning Bond, and I just think they're going to need some kind of burst healing.
Like, he actually has cleanse, right? You know, cleanse is pretty good when you're worried about things like hooks flying your way. But we'll see. Twilight Dream can win games, but is that what they need? We'll find out. Firm Handshake. I don't know. I feel like the Stonkies have the stronger draft. However, Brightwing Uther isn't exactly meta either.
It's interesting to say that the team going against Genji is the composition that has the playmaking potential, but it's true.
Right?
I mean, the Stitches Hook, follow up with all the lockdown that they have, Alarak's Burst, Vala's Burst, they can make plays, whereas Genji is just going to kind of be that flying ointment that annoys more than just like goes and closes out things. I'm watching my William, don't try it.
What? Oh no, I broke the, there we go. 5-man gank on your well incoming. Nice. Well, we do have, this is all for qualification to Bloodlust on the blue hand side. That is Firm Handshake. We got Necromuggers playing the Lunara, Lex Uther on Muradin. Heyo gonna be playing Malfurion, D Steves on Genji, and Vestige on that Tassadar.
On the right, we have the members of Donkeys R Us. Elheim's on Uther, LZ Gamers playing Alarak, Slice Blade, all caps or else you're not trying, is playing Brightwing. Jin is on Stitches. And Picante is playing Vala.
Picante. I like it. I like it. I'm learning new things today, like how to pronounce names properly. Picante. It is going to be the Monster Hunter build for Vala. Brightwing's going for those unfurling spray. She's just going to, you know, spread her filth as much as she can because her filth feels so nice. And then we've got extended lightning there for the Alarak, Silver Touch, and Slam build for Stitches.
I like this setup a lot for Donkeys R Us. Brightwing will be able to teleport in when needed. Can also bring added soak to the table. Picante just misses the Q. There's the hook. There's a stun follow-up. The Root trying to help a disengage. Telekinesis just misses, not able to set up the first takedown in the game. But either way, I feel like Donkeys R Us have just demonstrated what they could potentially do with that composition.
Yeah, deflect was good there too. It's going to be essential for that in those moments as well. But still, that was picante. Spice.
Telekinesis, Discord Strike just misses. Jin goes fishing, comes up dry. Necromongers is forever for the moment. Malfurion, Heo's picking up, healing him up with that passive healing or that Q, just the standard dots over time. So as long as they are available or able to avoid those skill shots and those bursts, Malfurion could get some back.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, once again, just a little bit of a brawl here in the bottom lane. Jin able to sustain through a lot of the damage, but, you know, that Lunara DPS is substantial. Hook was thrown out once again, but no dice on that. And here we go with the first Immortal phase. Early start onto the Blue Immortal attempted, but good defense actually denying any DPS from coming through.
Yeah, I'd really commend Lex Luthor. They stepped out in front of that Q, and that would have been a good amount of damage from Vala. That monster in the town on level 1 brings a lot to the table as far as damage goes. So props to Lex Luthor for having a micro play to know that. Both of these teams defending their Immortals. So we could see a prolonged progression here, Jake.
Yep, Tassadar is kind of defending the top lane as Brightwing does have the global where she's trying to push it out. I'm really glad Brightwing did not go for the bribe just because she is going to be in a lot of these solo situations where she's sitting in lane and not getting the benefit of her specific bribe talent where she does need to be around her allies. Red side, as you mentioned, Donkeys R Us are sitting in this defensive posture, doing their best to just try to find a kill. Good hooking onto Lunara, but some of the CC had just been used onto Lex Luthor, denying them the opportunity to actually go for the kill on Necro.
Yeah, split attention, perhaps a lapse in communication. I think if they all focused on one of those, that would have been first blood almost for sure, especially on Lunara without leaping strike at this point in the game. But either way, both of these teams just playing is really slow. In fact, Jake, I think this is the slowest I've seen two competitive teams go for this map.
Yeah, in a long time at least. This is very reminiscent of like the days when people didn't really know how to properly approach this map or efficiently approach the map in an aggressive situation. And it's half because of their compositions, and it's also half because of just those, you know, what's on the line here. They're playing for Bloodlust qualifications. It's a $4,000 prize pool, and honestly, that's the biggest prize pool that any amateur team will compete in this year, most likely.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things I love about Bloodlust. Pro-Am, big prize pool. There goes the Root, first blood potentially. Brightwing finally makes their appearance. Both of these teams, even on experience, however, Lex Luthor does mount back up, and both of these teams just kind of like taking jabs at each other, not really heavily committing. Uther is low on mana, though. That's going to be a potential problem. He goes up near the well, and Lex Luthor just misses the Storm Bolt. LZ Gamer floating in, looking for telekinesis and everything else. Hook just misses Necromongers.
Wow. So Picante was able to get in, and with Monster Hunter build, you know, if she's in for 2 seconds, that's a lot of damage. You can already see that Immortal just got poked down quickly. Genji was able to rotate relatively quickly to deny him any more pressure, and he's going to just hearth back to replenish. But that small poke just shows the power of all on this map.
And that's a large part of why. Oh, there's the Root, there's the Polymorph, there's the Telekinesis, dragging Lex Luthor back. Not going to be enough to set up a takedown. Vestige on the flank, potential target for the members of Donkeys R Us. Both of these teams are kind of like trading out their damage effectively. Like, step in, I'll use some damage, I'll step out. There's the Telekinesis, Discord Strike lands, LZ Gamer, Brightwing's teleporting in, Lex Luthor mounts up, should get some value out of that passive trait. And again, Jake, both of these teams, it's kind of poking each other, but not really going in.
And I think it's just a lot of just some of the early game compositions that we have. Like, you know, Brightwing does best in longer drawn out fights just based on the way that the hero's designed. Vala is going to excel when she's able to get that poke in, but they're just afraid to commit. Unstable Anomaly was picked up here at level 4. That'll be just a little bit of additional damage since they are running double support. I think that's a good call for the Brightwing here. And, you know, good zoning from the Stitches. But slowly but surely, this Red Immortal is dying, and the halftime show is almost here.
And that's not the situation you want to be in if you're Donkeys R Us. You have Monster Hunter. You're supposed to want to get out ahead of this, but Jin gets poked down quite a bit. There's the hook. There's a stun follow-up. Not going to net too much. Elheim, Jin, both low on health. Vestige poking down. There's that Lunara damage getting spread out. Lex Luthor looking on the flank. No one's diving in, though, from the side of Firm Handshake. even though they kind of got the upper hand.
They forced the race here with the spawn of the Immortals, and this is just going to be a free Immortal victory on the side of Farm Handshake. They were able to put the pressure on that entire fight. They found their window. They took that last engagement, having a level 7 advantage over their opponents, and it just basically won them the fight. Now, this Immortal doesn't have a lot of shielding. That's the one saving grace here. On the side of Donkeys R Us, they should be able to defend it fairly easily without taking too much damage.
Yeah, I think what we saw there, Jake, is just mutual respect for what either team can bring to the table. Neither one really wanted to extend too far. Neither one wanted to go in. They understand what's at stake here. Like you said, this is the biggest prize pool these teams could be.
Yeah.
Ooh,
nice root on the Heyo.
That's the full engagement and synergy landing on Malfurion's face. First blood.
He was the furthest one back, and it was just about a max range hook from Jin, finding them what they needed to throw things back in a good situation. Lex Luthor does get pulled in. Hammer of Justice is down, and the Hungering Arrow, one after another. Hook will confirm yet another kill for this team. So that's a double, and they lost a wall from the Immortal, but they bounced back.
They got some synergy, and that might actually be more value for them in the overall course of the game than anything else. I would trade losing the objective in some of your structures if you can develop that kind of momentum. But Jake, what we saw there, I think, is a large part of why Murden is effectively fallen out of the meta.
Yeah.
He tried the dwarf toss out of there and got yanked back by the telekinesis, and that feels bad. Without that escape option reliably there, he's just kind of a wet noodle in a pinata.
Yep, I agree wholeheartedly. Whatever that means, I'm down with it. The Coster camp has been picked up. It is behind this. Hook was thrown out. No success in that hook. Brightwing is in the top lane soaking, but does need to be careful, as Vestige and D-Steves could indeed dive and do a lot of pressure. But they've got the Khazar of their own, and it's the race to 10 at this point in time. Both teams will have that level 10 before we get to the next Immortal phase. My question is, where do the Fallen Shaman camps stand? Looks like Necro is already making his way to their camp.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how they prioritize this. They might be getting this a hair early, all things considered. Both their teams will have their heroics, however. If they just, like, finish this camp and wait the cap, I can see more of the reasoning behind it. But they are ahead as far as that macro decision goes. We see Alheim, Jin, and the crew start to rotate towards their own Bruce camp. But no, they just picked it up right now before the next Immortal phase.
I mean, it's pushing down bottom, which already has the wall down, which forces the immediate response to, and they're trying to invade, which of course is not going to work out, as we see. Cleaned up a little bit too quickly. The telekinesis did pull Lex Luthor back, but it actually forced the Hungering Arrow to miss. I don't know if they would have got the kill regardless. We see Picanti actually going back to base to replenish his mana. Did I say it right?
I think that was a solid B.
That was a B.
B
Picante?
bordering B plus.
Picante?
It's more the the Picante.
Picante.
There you go. Nailed
Picante.
it.
Nice. Good. See, that's why I just want to double check. I'm getting used to this. I'm learning. I'm a young Jake.
Young Jake. young solid
Necro.
Jake. There is Rain of Vengeance. Future Ball goes in. Further investment in this team fight.
Yeah.
It looks like Firm Handshake won. No parts of Necromongers with the jukes, but ultimately gets taken down.
He juked the hook, but he didn't juke the Hungry Arrow. And well done there from Drake.
That's going to start stacking up. Puncturing Arrow was a talent choice for Vala, already at 65. Once that gets to 100, this power spike will be real. Brightwing teleports in. Lunar will be back to business. But now it looks like, Jake, this could be the time for Donkeys R Us to play their hand at the map objective. They could come away with this Immortal.
Yeah, hooks are just such a, scary thing to have to deal with. You see them throwing a lot of stuff at LZ Gamer. Helping Hand will pull him back to safety after he used that nice counter-strike onto Heyo, which forced Heyo a little bit further back from this fight than they'd like. This does give Necro, however, the opportunity to try to go up and put some damage on the Red Immortal, and it looks like there's a bit of indecision on how Firm Handshake wants to approach this. They were, debating if they should go in. The moment they see that damage onto their Immortal, though, they've already tapped the well on a few players, and they're moving back in. And Uther's going to be lagging behind just a bit, so they need to be passive before they try to throw the damage in safely. But we do see Picante going in for the DPS, and the Immortal's dying rapidly.
The power of that. Oh, the Emerald Wind is going to actually interrupt Twilight Dream and could single-handedly save this team fight for Donkeys R Us. Lex Luthor is going to go down, as does Alarak. 2 for 1, no. Genji needs a little bit more than healing. He gets rocked. Necromonger's going to start back out of there. Slice Plate teleports in, adding for further sustain. And Heyo, 3 for 1 so far. Taking the hook. Bring him on back. That's going to be 4 for 1.
Wow, that was like one of the most beautiful Emerald wins I've seen in a long time. It absolutely shut down that Twilight Dream that could have been a game changer, right? That could have just won the fight. Shut that down, opened up the situation. Brightwing became the focused target. Divine Shield came down. We saw some clutch hooks in the middle of the fight, like securing kills, pulling people away that could have gotten kills onto his team, and just everything about that fight was well handled by Donkey R Us.
Yeah, I mean, you just draw the short straw for your Malfurion in a situation. That's your slow clap moment. Like, you're like, this is it, guys. I stepped in. I hit the R. I hit R, and I win the game, right? Twilight Dream is open. Oh, wait, I just got interrupted. Wait, we just, oh. That was just perfect timing for that Emerald.
Yeah. No, I love Emerald, big Emerald wins, man. It's such big disruption. Such a long stun effectively as they're being pushed by that wind. And they get this big fat Immortal. It's going to be able to secure themselves a fort and global soak from Brightwing. I think that's the bigger story here is like, yeah, they're getting this fort down. Yeah, they're pushing, but they're also getting an additional lane of experience. And if they get this kill on Muradin, ooh, that could be disastrous. Big kills come through. He has to pop that Avatar to stay alive. Dragonblade behind this. Divine Shield is out as well, and Emerald Wind allowing them to disengage, but Brightwing was forced to rotate in there.
Slice Blade was like, all right, guys, we've had about enough. Just going to go ahead and use Emerald Wind. You can all back away now. I like the idea of that added aggression. I think that happened on the downbeat of the overall tempo of things. They weren't able to get that burst in and get the takedown and almost found themselves in a rough spot. That could have been a huge momentum swing back for Firm Handshake.
Oh, the young Drake throwing at them hungering arrows and putting out some big numbers this game, I'm sure. Let's take a look at the DPS in this game. 29,000 already. 33,000 from the Lunara, however, who's really been able to do a lot. Also have that Wisp watching the Khazar camp. That's good. Just intel for them to know that is still on the map. But it's a fort for fort trade, which is honestly really good for Firm Handshake in this moment.
Yeah, level 16 is not too far off, and definitely pointed out a good thing. A lot of Lunara players, I feel, forget about the Wisp at certain parts of the game. Like, they'll drop it at the beginning and move it around, but then it gets taken down and they just never use it again. So to bring that constant vision to the table, I think is serving the members of Firm Handshake pretty well, all considered. They're going to go ahead and get the siege camp down bottom, so they could even up the structures and make play for this bottom fort. They get it based on minions. Nice.
Minions. Yeah, it's still nearly a level lead on the side of Donkey R Us, which is great, but of course it's not going to be, or it shouldn't be in play at the start of this Immortal fight. Could come into play if it's a stalled out fight, halfway through. Fallen Shaman camp, since this camp was picked up, no, excuse me, they're both, the red camp was just picked up moments ago, so they'll be marching down either lane as a distraction. You see Tassadar making his way to defend. That last Immortal did do a bit of damage to the top lane, so the Fallen Shaman camp could become problematic in the sense of tearing down the wall and giving them level 16 a lot more quicker than they'd like. But Brightwing does have the global, so that is another, again, winning situation when it comes to the offense or defensive potential with Brightwing being able to rotate in quickly.
Yeah, I mean, this is all effectively just kicking the can down the road. There's a nice hook. There's a stun follow-up. Telekinesis, not into a Discord strike, forces out the Avatar. There's the root as well. Counter-strike goes in, lowers the health bar of Heo more than he would have preferred, I'm certain. Polymorph goes in on Lex Luthor, further backing away. He should be able to get out of there. Putrefied not getting too much value. LG Gamer gets harassed. Lex Luthor gets brought back to the front line. There's the Twilight Dream. Heo is like, all right, this is personal this time. He nails it.
Wow, I can't believe they managed to turn that fight around so effectively. Such a big Dragonblade going in and getting themselves 4 kills, because as that fight started, when they were putting the focus on Muradin, Heo and Vestige actually both got caught by the Immortal stun, and it put them in a spot that was not really optimal, but they just kind of baited it out, had the double support heals coming through, and when it came down to it, Dragonblade was just too much for them to deal with. Emerald Wind didn't even get to get cast in that fight.
I mean, like I said, it had to feel personal for Hale. He's like, you kind of cucked me there last time.
Yeah.
At Emerald Win. But I'm making sure I slide this in early in the proceedings, and it paved the way for a huge momentum swing back for Firm Handshake, who enjoy a near full shield Immortal. This is going to be huge, Jake.
I kind of love how that's what the state of Malfurion has become more and more, because like the early iterations of Twilight Dream in competitive heroes was oftentimes a defensive thing, but now we're seeing Twilight Dreams be used as a, okay, the gates are open for my Genji to use Dragonblade, or the gates are open for my Malthael to go into the Tormented Souls, and just put out huge pressure that can't be responded to. And that's exactly what we saw there, done very well. This is a huge Immortal. It's 16 to 16, but this keep is heavily threatened.
Oh, nice hook, polymorph. Bring him on back with the
Oh my
telekinesis.
god.
The full shred on Muradin. Didn't even get to use his avatar. Ouch.
No, that was perfect harmony with the poly and the telekinesis and that Discord strike. They just timed it perfectly and effectively made this hard fought and well earned immortal become like, you know, basically a dumpster immortal because they can't push with it. Not without the Muradin.
That little combination there turned that immortal into a siege camp as far as value goes.
I know, right?
The moment Muradin went away, you saw Firm Handshake. They're like, oh, well,
like,
I think
nope.
I left my stove on. We got other places on the map to be. We should probably get out of here. Yeah.
That's my new excuse. Anytime I want to leave a social situation, I'm just gonna be like, yo, I left my stove on, and
should probably tend to that. Gotta go.
I'm like in Florida, visiting family that don't live there. Okay, well, experience is still very, very much even, and although that situation looked like a wasted immortal and they could have got a keep out of it, it doesn't actually really throw them back. They've just back to being at an even footing with Donkeys R Us.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things to take away from that progression. Yeah, that combination was serious. You landed on Muradin before you can drop his avatar. That's scary. But I also really commend Firm Handshake for deciding to back away, because the lesser team might have just been like, hey, we still got this immortal, guys, let's go in. If they all get wiped, they find themselves dealing with a snowball they may never recover from. So I like that they just identified that, cut their losses. Everything's even. We're even on structures. We're even on experience. We just won that last team fight. Let's just wait for the next one.
All right, well, here comes another immortal. This will potentially be the last one pre-20 of this game, and of course, if it's a big victory on either side, kind of like the last one we just saw, it could be a game-winning situation. So very important to not give up that full shield immortal once again if you're in the shoes of Donkeys R Us.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. If Firm Handshake come away with the next immortal in handed fashion, they're going to be standing behind the immortal because they don't want to get hooked again.
Yeah, that's true.
Today I learned, but the immortal phase is going to show up. Bruiser Camp was picked up for both of these teams. Brightwing will bring value via their global presence and show up later on. And as long as Brightwing's shown in that map, they may want to just try to jump in and blow somebody up. We'll see. Nope, Tassadar's clearing out top two, though. Never mind.
It's kind of beautiful just watching the dance of the immortals and the posture of the teams. Jin patiently hovering his ring finger over that hook, waiting to throw it at a unsuspecting foe. With Elohim with the hammer of justice in his pocket. Hook goes out! No dice.
Just misses. There's the stun. The root follow-up. Stitch is eating a boatload of damage. Doesn't use Putrid Bile just yet. He is able to get out of there thanks to the sustain from Uther. Brightwing still hanging out in the bot lane. Cleared out the Bruiser Camp ultimately. These Steves just avoids the telekinesis and the hook. That could have gotten a little interesting. But these teams still posturing.
Hungry for that kill. Jin is under just a heavy barrage of damage, and he's just going to back up and tap the well. You know, losing your Stitches in this moment basically means the gates are open. Lunara and Genji are starting to put on some heavy DPS, and Jin's going to look for a hook. Nope, we did see the telekinesis was actually thrown out towards Genji, but again, no connection. Even Hungering Arrow going out for Picante, not gonna get any connection.
Oh, there's a connection. There's the hook. Polymorph goes in on Lex Luthor. He does get the avatar this time. No Discord Strike is going to land. Divine Shield's going to help Alarak get around the corner and the heck out of dodge. Necromonger's on the flank trying to get a good amount of poke damage in. Successful to a point with that. The dragon becomes D-Steve. He fully YOLOs, goes in, gets the takedown, dashes out.
And Slice Blade is in a terrible position as well. Going to use that ice block as D-Steve is very low, but throwing out shuriken after shuriken, and Lunara's on the hunt there for Slice Blade, who is going to be able to live through this. Halftime show is just about initiated, but they find the kill on Lunara, and suddenly this fight is dead even. Brightwing is Hearth back to base and can phase shift in at her leisure.
Lunara got full-on clotheslined out of that, and I'd also commend Slice Blade. That was near perfect timing to interrupt Emerald Wind for the ice block. If he played that any other way, that poison damage would have secured his fate. Of that, I'm certain. There's the telekinesis. The hook just misses. D-Steves lives for the moment. But halftime is almost around the corner for Firm Handshake, so they're still in a pretty good spot. Ooh.
5 seconds till the hook's ready, but Brightwing ends up getting picked off here. So the combo of the hook probably no longer a threat for them, as Brightwing's down and out for a full minute. And in these kind of situations, when you're already behind in the Immortal race, this is a lifetime. The actual timing that it takes for them to do their dance in the sky of the halftime show is like a breath of fresh air for them, but still 40 seconds left, and Lunara just respawned.
The bigger concern here is level 20 is around a corner as well. If Firm Handshake come away with this Immortal, they'll have a tier advantage that is substantial and of note. Look at the burn. Actually, this is going to be a lot more hotly contested than I originally thought it could be. This could very well get stolen away.
Yeah, look at Vala. Picante is able to just put up big DPS with the Dragon Blade going in behind this. Discord Strike whiffs entirely. We'd see the Leaping Strikes going in twice onto Alarak, finding them Alarak and Uther. And that's level 20 in the bag as well. So little HP left, but great decision making from Handshake, bringing the fight to them in the 4v5.
Yeah, they rotated down there quick, and it definitely paid off for them. Vala is still alive, though. I think if the members of Donkey Surfers were a bit more cheeky, they could have very well sent... Well, no, actually, I really like that heads-up decision-making. If you look on the mini-map, Malfurion and Murden were there. They were waiting. If Vala dared try to go for that Immortal, that could have gotten a little rougher.
Yeah, that's definitely a situation that could have gone really, really poorly if that Discord Strike had hit, or a lot of different things could have been flipped around. Another 18 seconds for an Uther and Alarak respawn here, and the Immortal will be pressuring the bottom lane as it's the healthier of the two. We saw that snap hook deny the last Immortal push attempted there from Firm Handshake. We'll see how they can do this time. Brightwing is getting the global soak, helping for level 20, which is absolutely essential for this team. Is going to be very big variable in this defense.
Yeah, if this game is going to make it past the 23 mark, got to get the level 20. Slice Blade has just brought that for their team now. He's starting to teleport in. Jin on the flank. The shield is down on the Immortal. I do believe this bottom keep could get taken down one way or the other. Jin's health bar, though.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
He's getting absolutely shreked here. Dragon Blade going into the two load targets, forcing out that Divine Shield. Polly is going to be good there, finding the kill, and the continuous wins of Brightwing did give them a good bit of peel behind this. The keep is down, but they did lose their Genji, so should not continue pushing on forward. The game will continue on, but that's still a big win getting that keep.
Conte may want to be a little careful. Heavy Impact was a talent of choice for Uther, and I'm pretty sure he took Rewind. No, he took Iron Shield. Okay, I was about to say, because Murray could have just jumped on Vala, and that could have been a really rough turnaround. But the takedown on Genji does allow the members of Donkeys R Us to clear out the rest of the Immortal, yet they lose their keep. They're still in the game.
Okay. All right. They're not even going to check their camp, but Wisp is looping around, trying to check this out. They now have intel that they are right around the corner. The Fallen Chapman camp has been stolen. Any safe path in the middle has been taken away, just going for the wall since it's there. This is still another 10-second window with no Genji. So I'm glad they're getting some opportunities picked up. Brightwing just hearth back to deal with the catapults and the Merc camp that are pushing down the bottom lane. But it's still a good spot here for Firm Handshake.
I like this decision a lot to have Slice Blade clear out this bottom lane. Get more and more value out of that global presence hero and Brightwing. Why not? Push up that bottom lane, try to take those catapults out of the equation, and buy your team more time to adequately team fight as a 5-person unit. Have Brightwing clear that out and teleport somewhere else. The next Immortal phase is going to be here. All 5 members of Firm Handshake hanging out in the top lane. They make short work of that camp. But the Bruiser camp is also getting picked up by Donkeys R Us.
This next Immortal phase is going to make or break the game for probably both sides, honestly. We've seen consistent victories in the late game for First Handshake over the fights. They're just getting so much value with the Dragon Blade, the pressure from Lunara, and the Twilight Dreams of Malfurion. And then, of course, I mean, you can't count out the impact that Tassadar and Murden are having to enable those other plays from happening. But a lot of free damage right out of the gates being given to Donkeys R Us, which is the first time they've actually received that. Jin, however, is forced to pop Bile so early, and that is a win for Firm Handshake.
I think that just speaks to the damage that he's been dealing with from like level 16 to 20. So often we've seen Jin magically find himself at half health. He's like, I don't want to deal with all that. I'm just putrid biling out of here. We're not all here yet. I'd rather use that, take that cooldown than die. So he backs out of there. Damage was had on both Immortals, however. Vestige looking forward to the opportunity. Lex Luthor on the flank as well. Both of these teams, we saw it earlier. Looks like there's just going to be some defensive posture.
Okay, Brightwing is, able to keep that bottom lane from becoming an issue. It's always a thing we got to consider when you have one of those keeps down. And Stitches has basically been able to get that. Excuse me, as this gank is happening, forcing them to win. I was going to say they just got their Putrid Bile back, which is the victory for them, but Brightwing forced to use the Emerald win just to escape that massive collapse that was happening on her. Big play from Firm Handshake, forcing out Heroic after Heroic, denying them any, sustained situation.
Yeah, I like the idea that they're making plays. They didn't want to have this thing continue to drag out like that. A huge engagement, though. Divine Shield is going to get used on Alarak. Counter-Strike was dropped as well. Lex Luthor hanging out front. Damage, low health bars on both sides. Slice play, which she had Emerald to win then. I know that. Yeah. Brightwing is going to be first to fall. Lex Luthor is going to be able to jump out of there. But the core is going to be under attack. How do they respond?
They hook the Tassadar, who just has a dimensional shift at the ready in the halftime show. Has in fact commenced. Those shields will be expiring momentarily, and as you mentioned, that push, they don't have a global to respond to it. Elheim's gonna die, and this game is just going well in favor of Firm Handshake at this point in time with these beautiful shot calling situations and their amazing team fight.
Yeah, I mean, they're forcing reactive decisions out of Donkeys R Us. They collapse down on Brightwing, forces Brightwing to come back. They rotate up towards the Immortal. Brightwing has to get involved in that team fight. That buys time for the catapults to make their way up to the core, and then that's another thing that Donkeys R Us have to worry about. And while they're sitting there responding, see Firm Handshake stay ahead, and they get the next Immortal.
Okay. Well, this is a really difficult situation for Donkeys R Us. We've got a keep already down. They have failed 3 Immortal fights in a row, and this Immortal, I mean, it is late game. I don't know if they can stop this.
A 27-minute Immortal with a shield is pretty much tantamount to a death push, Jake, so it's going to be pretty tough for the members of Donkeys R Us to do anything about this. It's going to take one of those perfectly coordinated synergies if they're going to try to turn this game around. A lot of people clumping up for Discord Strike and everything else. Genji is going to be first to fall. Leaping Strike, Necromonger is going to try to retreat. Heo's the next target. LZ Gamers on the chase, gets the takedown there. Necromongers is going to fall. We said it would take some perfectly coordinated synergy, and Jake, Exhibit A.
They have to defend this Immortal, like, with 2 at least, but they can push to try to end the game. 4 members down, only Tassadar is alive, and he's got a sliver of health. He can try to defend. Both keep still standing here, but that was a beautiful fight on the side of Donkeys R Us. Yeah, this... Oh, my God. Brightwing can't do this alone. Oh, my God.
I think they may have overstated the value of Brightwing's wave clear, because that camp and catapults walked up and just melted the cooldown.
Oh, this is really bad. This is really bad. Oh, he's leaving.
Oh! What? Picante?
Whoa!
Not like this. Not like this. Jake, no. No. No.
What?
No. Just no. Like, the moment I saw Picante mount up and start to roll out with the rest of the team, I was like, there's like 50% health on his Immortal still, and that's a full minion wave walking up to the core in the bot lane. I guess they're like, well, we're fine taking some damage. We'll just, But those catapults, they hurt. They hurt a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look back at that moment and you're like, well, if they played that a little differently, that could have been their game 1. That could be a historic implication on the rest of the series.
Could be. Will that make the top 5 fails of Bloodlust history? Could be as well. A new Barak has, in fact, been banned out here. Cursed Hollow is the map. And the response ban, we've seen a lot of Ariel bans, a lot of Uther making it through. Tassadar, of course, getting picked quite early as well. Then you got to think of the globals like Dahaka and Genji, who's a pseudo-global at this point, based on what we've seen the hero do. So,
It's been interesting to see Ariel shoot up in prioritization. I think she's always been in a really strong place, but with Clint starting to see some lesser play or getting flat out removed from heroes like Malfurion, responses to burst damage tend to take priority, and Ariel has that on two fronts, both in Crystal Aegis as well as just the healing that she can kick out, especially past level 7. So I think that's a really strong priority in competitive heroes. You want to be able to make sure your burst damage gets in there when you try to execute. And she just brings a lot to the table on that front. So I get it.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what you'd expect. This is like, I don't know, Genji to Haka seems like the go-to, but we've seen a lot of Stitches prioritization early on in these drafts as well. So we'll have to see. I mean, Greymane also very good here. Malthael is never going to be one of those early game picks, at least not in the current state. He's still very strong, but not too many teams grab him in the first rotation anymore.
No, he's kind of fallen off a bit. I think Genji's potential is definitely made it difficult for that prioritization to stay there. A couple of heroes to select here though for Firm Handshake, who won game 1. Genji Tassadar. That's a good start. It's a good start.
Yeah, can't knock it. That's for sure. I mean, super powerful heroes in this meta right now. Cursed Hollow makes them even, you know, you can never deny when it's a channeled objective, having some kind of interrupt, having mobility, having escape options, going to be really good. And this also, in a way, makes that Stitches pick a little bit less enticing because these two targets are going to get out of so many hook situations, juke so many hooks. Wouldn't be surprised if we see the Dahaka prioritization instead of Stitches because of that.
Yeah, and I mean, the global presence and value is something that we've seen Donkers R Us prioritize last game. I mean, they took Brightwing. In a lot of ways, that pick kept them in the game for as long as it went on. Being able to soak, getting to level 20 for that push in the bot lane was huge. So I definitely think they understand its value there. But
nope,
they're going to go for Malthael and Stitches. Okay.
They're just going for that straight-up team fight. And, you know, we're just talking about Malthael. You know, where does he stand in the prioritization, like, versus heroes like, you know, Genji or even Greymane? And this should just be LZ Gamer playing him, I'd imagine. It's something that he wants quickly. He wants to be able to make those big plays on him. I think that's good, but I'm actually really curious when Malfurion sits in this draft because I felt like the Twilight Dream Dragon Blades were just, like, such a big part of why they won and, like, turned that game in their favor for Firm Handshake.
Absolutely. I mean, it became a battle of Twilight Dream to Emerald Wind. Seemingly, whichever one was able to get pulled off first, that generally tended to be the team fight. So I definitely think if you already have Uther and you got a second band coming up for 3-4 selected for Firm Handshake, and your Donkers R Us, you very well may want to consider the Malfurion band. I think that would be pretty decent. Stitches, Malthael, Uther, lockdown, good amount of damage in Malthael, especially past level 16 from Memento Mori. Who do you take off the board? You got to deal with high mobility and Tassadar and Genji by way of Genji's just general rapid ability to get around the map and dimensional shift. Malfurion, we're talking about that as a potential ban. That's what I would do if I was Donkers R Us. Ooh.
I really like the Lunara ban. I think these are identical bans from Firm Handshake with the Ariel and the Li Ming. But the Lunara ban, I mean, let's face it, Lunara was putting out stupid numbers that last game. She was a big part of why Genji was able to commit to the Dragon Blades because the targets were getting so low. And even with double support, they couldn't keep up with the heals. And Uther just struggles when it's a Lunara putting that pressure on because his armor becomes worthless.
Yeah, when in the last game's draft, I was like, you know, Lunara has a pretty solid counter to Uther. He does a lot of single target healing, longer cooldowns, whereas Lunara can spread that damage around. I don't think I've ever seen such an egregious instance of Lunara just making short work of what Uther brings to the table and what we just saw there. Brightwing, on top of that, had a difficult time keeping up with that. So now that I'm thinking back to how those team fights went, the Lunara ban makes perfect sense.
Yeah, Yeah, I like it. I think it's very intelligent. I mean, you're still giving up Greymane. This is another game where we're seeing Muradin, and like, you know, Muradin, we saw some of the situations where the hook and the Discord strike became a little bit too much for him. But I do like Muradin on this map in particular, just because his ability to walk in, stall at the shrine, dwarf toss away if he has to, tends to be a little bit safer. And so far, this shouldn't be there shouldn't be as much lockdown with, you know, it being Malthael instead of Alarak. So it should be a little bit safer game for Muradin.
Yeah, I definitely think that Muradin got more value than I originally thought he would, especially past level 16. He took Skullcracker at 7 that offers some lockdown, some interrupts. Heavy impact at 16 definitely puts more of an exclamation point on when he tries to engage. So I definitely think there was something to be said for the value he had out of the front line there. But we also saw an instance where he got hooked and blown up before Avatar even became a thing. So definitely something that Muradin's going to have to watch out for this game. Ooh.
ETC and Stitches. Okay. So global, maybe, if they want the stage dive. However, what are their responses to Mosh Pit if he did go for it? We haven't seen ETC played consistently in like a long time.
Well, I'm pretty sure, Jake, that's the question that Firm Handshake are asking themselves as well. They're like, if he moshes us, we... Wait. Like, I don't really think there's much they do. Like, Muradin has to stay outside of it and hit a Stormbolt. That's... I don't think Force Wall... I mean, it'll move the mosh pit, but I don't think it interrupts it. So, this last pick... Could this... What do you take? You've already banned Li Ming. So you don't have force of, you know, the Force Wall. And then you take Ray. Well, you need a support Ray. So, Uh-oh.
Like, you're not going to run Brightwing with this. Right. You could do Brightwing Tassadar technically, but, like, the poly's not getting any value outside of denying Mosh Pit in the off chance that ETC actually goes for it. Like, they don't have any true dive beyond that. So... it's just going to be Rhaegar Tass with the Greymane Illidan. So that's a bad composition. It's just that Mosh Pit threat is very much a scary thing on the table.
This is what happens when a hero stays in the meta for so long and then you see some changes and then they fall out. And then you don't consider it showing up at all, and then it shows up at the back end of the draft and you're like, we didn't really account for this at all. Like, we have no interrupt to Mosh Pit. This is effectively, in a lot of ways, Slice Blade's team fight to lose. Like, if he just slides in there and lands the right mosh pit, it's over.
It's easily over real quick if you get caught out by that. But right now, Firm Handshake in the blue with Hale, Lex, Uther, D. Steve's, Necromongers, and Vestige are sitting up 1-0 in this Bloodlust qualification match. It's a best-of-5 qualification match. Only one team can go on.
Over on the right side, we have the members of Donkeys Are Us. Elheim's on Uther, LZ Gamers playing the Angel of Death. Malthael, Slice Blade is on ETC. Picante is on Gul'dan, and Jin rounds it out on Stitches. Now, the one thing that I'm concerned about with the comp for Donkeys Are Us is the Gul'dan. Like, when you invest this heavily into the hook, into the power slide afterwards, I feel like you want more immediate burst damage. And Gul'dan does have burst if, you know, the abilities land in the right way, but he's not really who I think of initially of, like, who do I want after a power slide?
Yeah, that's true. That's a really good point. I mean, it's more like they get a hook and then you power slide and then you Hammer of Justice or something, maybe, I guess, and Gul'dan just kind of like sucks their life away. We'll have to see. They do have a lot of sustain and a lot of control when it comes to the actual fights, but getting actual kills, I mean, that's going to be pretty reliant on the 2 DPS here. At least it's not a double support composition. I don't think this would work with two quote-unquote main tanks that aren't really as bruisery as some of the other warriors in the game.
Well, one reason why I think we've seen ETC fall out of the meta is that he doesn't really fit either role of tank or bruiser these days. He doesn't do enough damage to really qualify as a bruiser. He doesn't have sustain to really be a main tank. So it's all going to come down to the value that they get off of the engage and power slide. And Malthael and Gul'dan may not be enough. We'll have to see, though. 2-minute mark, we will see the Siege Camp show up. They do have Rhaegar over on the side of Firm Handshake. Could see him rotate for that. Curious to see how these teams prioritize.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I do like about the idea of ETC is he seems like he might harmonize well with Malthael, just the way that he engages hard and opens the gates for him. You know, either heroic, if it's a stage after the mosh pit, it just gives him opportunities via slow or full stun. They are looking at Vestige right now with Vestige versus LZ Gamer. We have Elahheim and Sliceblade in the shadows. Genji is currently scouting for them and scouting complete.
There were a lot of little nuances there that I really enjoyed, and it speaks to the level of play of both of these teams. Vestige stayed in Worgen form for that exact reason. It had that added mobility if the engage came in. These Steves also had the presence of mind to not just outright face check that bush, spots that out for his teammate, and allowed Vestige to be in position to be able to get out of there if he needed to. There's a power slide, does miss. Stun from Uther is not going to be enough to lock down these Steves. No takedown.
All right, well, they've got their Giants. They're going to be pressing up the top lane, which is a good global opportunity for them, but it looks like they're leaving Gul'dan in the top. So Picante is going to be staying up there in the top lane, meaning that they know they're not committing S5. So basically right now, Donkeys or Russ can only look to stall this out, right? They're not going to win it. Heyo is already uncontested. They don't have a ton of clear. LZ Gamer stepping in, throwing out that Q, trying to get some kind of connection, but excuse me, Death Shroud is his E. I need to play more. I need to play more Malthael, man. I played like 2 games.
He's a lot of fun. He's a lot of fun. I'm a little surprised that Donkeys R Us really tried to stall that as much as they did. With Gul'dan not there, they for sure weren't going to have kill potential. And it's not like they have an app at their comp where they want to try to drag things out and just get a bunch of soaks. So they got ahead and experienced a little bit there. But I just feel like they had more to lose than the game.
Yeah, that's true. But at least right now, Donkeys R Us almost up to level 7. And now they got their giant camp being picked up. Top is going to get pushed in a little bit here with D. Steves and Lex Luthor versus Jhin alone. Jhin doesn't have much support coming quite yet, so the ammunition will dwindle slowly but surely.
Yeah, they are going for the slam build, but the full merits of that haven't really come to light just yet.
Right.
So Stitches could struggle if that continues to be
Look
a
at this
issue.
Cleanse, not Guardian of Ancient Kings. Cleanse.
Huh.
I'm very surprised about that. And that to me shouts mosh pit.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to be the Herald. You have him power slide in to cleanse, so the Storm Bowl, even if it does try to land, it's not going to be enough. But Raymane finds himself waiting to respawn.
Yeah.
ETC Malthael makes short work of him, and that's going to be, at the very least, a free tribute for Donkeys R Us.
Free tribute, free push from the Giants, which need to be responded to. LZ already in the channel. Slicestorm will slow this down, but Sliceblade looking to stall this out. Elahheim will confirm more stall, but no, DC's coming over the wall. Actually, Sliceblade is now maybe overextended again. He's not getting the additional armor from that Uther, just getting the heal. Only 20 armor provided, and down he goes.
Well, firm handshake, make a liar out of me. I thought with that takedown on Greymane, that would be them just backing away, but they're like, actually, we'll just catch Sliceblade out of position. And we'll show why he's not really in the meta these days, ETC. He didn't really have to stand and just hang out there by himself. It's taken down.
Yeah, and the event Guardian of the Ancient Kings was a thing that might have worked out. Heyo took a lot of damage from that boss, however, and these Giants did get the bottom wall completely torn down in the favor of Donkeys R Us. So Donkeys R Us are in a good spot, you know, experience-wise, towards that level 10. They'll have level 10 first, and they should have it for the next tribute. But they're down 2-0 in tribute, so this next tribute is really important for them because you do not want to give up a curse this early in the game.
No, that's how a game, especially on Cursed Hollow, will snowball out of control. You just find yourself waiting to play defense forever. That's not where you want to be. But Donkeys R Us should have their heroics by the time next tribute shows up, so I don't think we'll see Firm Handshake make too much of an issue. But again, I've been proven wrong in this very game by their decision making. But going in there without their heroics would be picante, to say the least.
Horrify, Putrid Bile, Divine Shield. And ETC is still holding. I think he's going to hold for an extended period of time here, which is a good call. Still a little surprising to see the cleanse, though, man. Like, it feels like it's literally they just want, okay, they get a free tribute, that's big, but it feels like they literally just want, you know, that mosh pit threat, but you still have Divine Shield, right? Is it actually a necessity? I mean, it's good. We'll see.
I mean, I guess the lack of stuns that really warrant the justification of cleanse is the same reason why Guardian of Ancient Kings doesn't really have much of a prioritization either. There really isn't too much in the way of things that would trigger Guardian of the Ancient Kings, and they very well may just be hinging their bets fully on this mosh pit. Slice Blade is like, hey, give me the cleanse, give me the Divine Shield. I'll make sure we get value off of this, but it's going to be tough to do so if Kante's going to get isolated. Curse Blade goes in, as does Genji. Dragon becomes these thieves. He's going off.
LZ Gamer is getting ridiculous sustain, however, and Cesar's going to be thrown in on Vestige. And, you know, without Gul'dan, Stitches doesn't even leave his lane. He's like, you know, I know that fight's over. Someone just got popped before the fight even mattered. We ended up spending Tormented Souls and Horrify, and my team is just getting thrown around. Finally, Jin has opted to leave that lane and come on down. See, just say that in the Bob Barker voice. Come on down.
Come on down. Oh, Cursed Bullet goes in on Jin. He finds himself trying to retreat sooner rather than later. Turns around, throws the hook in on Vestige, who does back away. LZ Gamer, next potential target, forces out the Divine Shield. That's not what they wanted to use at all.
No, that's no bueno.
They needed that one.
That cloud is sad for a reason.
Kept him alive, and it is going to be Mosh Pit. Jake, there's the Dwarf Toss. Lex Luthor does make himself a potential target. There's Slice Blade looking to line him up. Doesn't need Mosh Pit just yet. There's Cyber Agility. D-Steve should have his dash. Yeah, he saw that power slide. He's like, I don't want any parts of this. I'm out.
oldmetawarriors.net/Murden etc in a game. You know, when they're in, they're in. You know, Dwarf Toss has never looked that convincing in getting away. etc also, we've seen him just kind of feel kind of like, yeah. Mosh Pit, however, could be the game changer for this series. We'll have to find out, as Necromonger is starting this boss on his own. Genji will be there to help shortly. If they don't sniff this out, that's going to be a free boss.
And it doesn't look like that they will. I mean, they've committed Gul'dan and ETC to going for the Siege Camp. They picked that up. Malthael still twiddling thumbs in the mid lane, trying to get this team to level 13. The rotation's starting to show up in Manifest, but they're still trying to watch this bush. I don't think they have any idea if Picante does show up.
They can't get in there. Yeah. If they were maybe 2 seconds earlier, that power slide mosh pit, big threat, but now it's been done. Good Curse Bullet going in on giving pressure onto Slice Blade, but that's just to disengage, and now they have to defend the boss.
And this is going to be really tough, especially if the tribute shows up like right now on the other side of the map, because the question then becomes for Donkey's Rest, how much value do we allow this boss to get? Because the next tribute, one way or the other, is going to be a curse. They do have level 13, though, so now this is precarious for Firm Handshake to just hang out here. This is interesting, man.
Well, it looks like the boss will be dealt with before it does too much. It is a tribute in the top part of the map. They've got 10 seconds to get there. It is a favorable position for Defensible inside of Donkey's R Us. And this is tribute number 5, so it will grant the first curse of the game. Guaranteed. 13 still not quite here, however. There's not a ton of ranged interrupt options available, but ETC does have that positioning to get in there. That Mosh Pit is deadly, and they need to be careful of that coming through. Mosh Pit is zoning with Horrify behind, and that is going to be a dead Greymane. No, the shield's coming through from Tassadar. He's staying alive. Vestige getting another heal, but will end up going down. Double kill there, and it's looking like Jin is so low, and Tassadar finds a kill before going to the Dimensional Shift, but Muradin dies behind that.
I don't know how Greymane lasted as long as he did. Finally does go down 3 for 1 in favor of Donkey's Rust. They have to be pretty pleased, all things considered, with that trade, as it nets them the first curse of the game. That level 13 shows up now, and Jake, that is devastating for Firm Handshake. They needed that way sooner, but they were just, their hand was forced. They had to try to make a play, I guess.
The zoning options too, like Mosh Pit, it's not like one of those Mosh Pits that like hits the whole team and wins you the fight. It just completely shut off an entire part. I think they locked in Rhaegar. And then the Horrify almost got that like snap kill onto Greymane, who did die soon after. But still, what a scary initiation to have to worry about the Mosh and the Horrify.
Well, I mean, we've been talking about the value of just the psychological impact of Stitches' hook. When you add Mosh Pit on top of that, you're doubly concerned about your positioning. Even that, I would say that Mosh Pit was more zoning than anything else. It just isolated one person. You take the support out of the equation for precious seconds. That's why I was like, I'm surprised Greymane survived as long as he did. Tassadar did absolute work there, but in the end, it just wasn't enough.
Well, that's going to be 16 in the bag. A bottom lane that is pushing in hard. A lot of free damage from these minions, really. And the boss is going to march up the top lane. Top lane is also very much pushed in. Sure, they just grabbed themselves some giants, but I don't think they're going to last too long as the corruption and, well, everything is thrown at them. And here comes the siege of the top lane with 16 in tow versus 14 of Firm Handshake.
Yeah, this is going to be a huge momentum swing. But Jake, I think the word minions might be a little too soon for Donkeys R Us all considered. They're looking to even this series out, though. They make sure we're at this top heat wall. Plenty of health still on this boss. So they're definitely looking to throw their weight around. And why not? Potential hook. Mosh Pit is back online. All hands on deck as far as heroics go. All these teams have their RQ. There's the hook. Vestige gets stunned. The Horrify goes in. Ancestral Healing is going to land. The Mosh Pit goes in onto Tassadar. That's going to be enough to deny the shield. Gray Man gets rocked. Stun goes in on Genji. He uses the old deflect and the Q from his Dragon Blade to get out of there. Could potentially look to turn around. But I think this top keep is gone, Jake.
Fighting under a boss and then a mosh pit coming through was so scary. They had to dive deep. They had no option, and of course it just did not pay off for them. The sustain coming through from this lone Uther and just incredible damage of the Malthael and Gul'dan looked beautiful. What a well-executed assault there on the top lane.
You feel like you're playing for a brand new VCR in those situations, Jake, where it's just like, we gotta try to defend this keep. If we do nothing, they walk through this keep and still have the boss alive. We gotta do something, but we also don't have our level 16s. So we're just forced into this disadvantageous situation. To only lose the keep and a few heroes is probably best case scenario for Firm Handshake in that situation.
Well, this is, again, it's this time at least it is a cursed point for Firm Handshake. If they manage to get themselves level 16, which is still a ways off, they could contest and go for this, but they're probably gonna have to concede this next tribute, unfortunately, without 16, unless they can, yeah, they're just backing off.
It would be cheeky, bold, daring, and everything else if Firm Handshake dared to venture towards this tribute. Cooler heads do prevail. So, you know, it's not a curse. They would have had so much more to lose than the game. I really like that decision. They need to get to level 16, mine this top lane. They don't want to deal with minions themselves. And take this next tribute fight on even talents.
Scary things. The boss is available, and that could be engaged upon. And you've already seen the powerful zoning tools of Horrify and Mosh Pit get a lot of work done in this game. Again, interrupts on the table, it is Muradin, and that is it. So once Mosh is out, unless Stormbolt's ready, it's not doing anything. They're going to grab this Bruiser Camp for the mid lane, and then try to get the Stranglehold in. That Slice Blade is scouted. There's no Curse Bullet thrown his way yet, because Vestige was pretty far away from the fight, but now all 5 members are here. And we do have a disconnect, so we should see a pause. Yes, there is a pause.
Kante DC, so we'll be back as soon as he is back. And yeah, if you're on the side of Firm Handshake, you got to feel like you're venturing into the lion's den if you're going to try to contest over a boss in this situation. You got to worry about Mosh Pit. You got to worry about Horrify. You're stepping into Putrid Boss. You're going to have the maximum value out of there. You got to worry about friggin' Mouthfeel. At level 16, he did go Memento Mori, so that's going to be increased damage. He just pops his R, stands over the boss, and it's like, yeah, come on in. I like this. Well, why don't you guys just hang out for a while? So if we do see a forced boss issue, that's going to be advantage Donkeys R Us, to say the very least.
Yeah. It could be pretty rough. We're just waiting for Picante to respawn here. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going back on in.
You guys resume game 3, 2, 3. But yeah, here we go. Necromar. Actually, it's going to be Firm Handshake looking to start this up. That is a daring prospect. There's the Boschman power slide on 2 members. The cleanse is going to sustain Kraven for the moment. He still gets caught in it anyway. Ancestral Healing is going to land. Genji does go down first. Vestige low on health. He's going to get taken down thanks to Mouthfield's poison power slide goes out on Hayo. And Jake, they asked for this. They started the boss first.
Yeah. Yo, that was just heartbreaking. Vestige was so close to the center of the mosh. You saw it. He got cleansed. He took 2 steps, and then he started dancing again. And that is the literal worst feeling in Heroes of the Storm. When you're running for your life, but you can't get away because that mosh is a great tool. And we kind of criticized this ETC pick. We're like, we don't know how it's going to look, right? We knew the Sun options were limited. We knew that it was unlikely for Brightwing to be that last pick for the support, and Rhaegar ended up being the option. And so far, the Horrify Mosh Pit has just looked unbeatable in these fights.
Yeah, I mean, I was concerned about the ETC pick. I was also concerned about the Gul'dan. I didn't know if they'd have the damage to really make this work, but Conte is leading the entire map with 46,000 hero damage. So Drake was like, yeah, don't worry too much. Nicely done.
Yeah, really beautifully done. And, you know, this game started out with 2 tributes in Firm Handshake's favor. And since then, we've seen 5 tributes going into the hands of Donkeys R Us. We've seen them pick up 2 bosses, and now they're grabbing their 3rd boss, and 2 of the keeps have already been destroyed. So as they're going to have a boss pushing in the top lane with catapults, there's a tribute spawning in the bottom half of the map. Now, they don't have anyone in position to interrupt that quite yet. I think they can still rotate in time, but they're not doing that. They're going for a death push. During a curse that'll be against them, they're just death pushing, and they have 20 in tow. This is a race that they will cleanly win. Their forts are all still standing, and it's do or die time for Firm Handshake.
If I'm on the side of Donkeys R Us, I'm not too worried about this curse at all. You already got the top keep. That boss is going to walk directly to the core. That bad boy's going to be looking to rock and roll 17 minutes in. Lex Luthor and the crew tried to do something about this. Siege camp was stolen away before the rotation could be there by Firm Handshake. Lex Luthor goes in. There's the heroic from LZ Gamer, steps in. Power Slide goes in, locks him in place. Greymane is going to go down. Ancestral Healing not yet off the cooldown. That's backbreaking for the members of Firm Handshake. Donkeys R Us, Necromongers is able to use Dimensional Shift. Target turns to Murden. This should be the beginning of the end.
Yeah, that is going to tie this series up. There's no way they stop this. The boss, on his own, could end the game at this point in time. And well played there from Donkeys R Us, making the ETC, who is so extremely rare in the current state of Heroes of the Storm, be honestly the variable that just Firm Handshake was not ready for in the draft.
There's a pun in there somewhere, Jake. They brought out Jaina, who pretty much resided on the front line. And it was a situation where it just shouldn't have worked. But this team understands how each other positions well enough to where they pull these off-meta selections out and just make them look strong. So
yeah,
it's tough.
They do. I think they swap sides in
the
lobby.
did.
So we do have Donkeys R Us in the blue this time. And Ariel being banned once again. Man, Firm Handshake just say, no Ariel.
You have no hope.
Literally.
Take Ariel off the board. 2-minute Spider Queen does invite a different set of politics. Wave clear is very important, as is rotation and team fight gank potential. See Uther being hovered here as a potential ban. Seen a lot of play out of the old Paladin these days, so wouldn't be surprised. But Genji, either or, I think they're both strong.
I wonder if we'll ever get like a true like Retribution DPS Paladin. I'm trying to think if there are any Warcraft classes that there are multiples of. Like, I guess ETC and Murden are both kind of like warriors.
Yeah.
Like Murden's like more like the true warrior. And Varian's also a warrior, so warrior highly represented. Where's Garrosh? Get all them warriors in here. And then Greymane's like loosely a hunter, but clearly not the classic. Rexar is like the Beastmaster hunter. Give me a Laria, boys and girls. All right. Genji banned out here. Lauren, you play WoW or no?
I never really got into it.
Okay.
Man. I haven't played
I'm like a mega WoW nerd. All right. Tassadar is the first pick for 2. No surprise there, really.
It really shows you where Firm Handshake's heads are at in this game. We see the early prioritization on Gul'dan. That's a surprise. But with the Ariel ban and then Tassadar getting first pick, what it says to me is that Firm Handshake like to play compositions where they just enable a specific character to go off.
Yeah.
So we could see an Illidan with Hunt or something like that. Vala, Tracer show up, something like that. Gul'dan and Nubarak, nice start.
So Picante clearly feeling warmed up in Gul'dan, and I like to see that prioritized actually. But yeah, I also like that they're not showing, like sometimes they draft LZ Gamer's hero really early. And I honestly feel like the fact that LZ Gamer plays some of like the weirder picks leaving that pick a little bit later in the draft sometimes feels like you leave the enemy team guessing a bit. Like, how is he going to approach this map, right? Is he going to be trying to play that Illidan? However, right now with that Tassadar, there's so many harmonious heroes like Illidan or Tracer or Cassia or Vala that can pair nicely with it. So this is a big decision for Firm Handshake, because Uther is available, Vala is available. They go for both of them, and that's scary.
Yeah, Vala's now a superhero. She is gonna have a cape figuratively as well as literally now. She's gonna go off. 90% lifesteal on auto attack damage dealer like Vala. She has sustained for days now. Big healing from Uther to back her up as well. Potentially divine shield. So this is now officially the Vala show as far as this comp goes for Firm Handshake. And now it's just gonna be up to Donkeys Rust and how they decide to respond to that. The Diablo ban. I think that's more of a research decision in the meta.
Gives them the opportunity to kind of control the tank pool a little bit better. You take away Diablo and you enable Sonya, which is one of the LZ classics. And I'm curious if that's what they're trying to say here.
Well, it's protecting their damage dealer in a different way. Whereas it's very direct for Firm Handshake, Tassadar, Uther, Vala. All right, put shields on Vala, let her just pretty much be a tank and hang out there. With the Diablo ban, they're like, it's going to be tough for you to try to make it to our backline. If Vala wants to try to vault forward and try to close out Gul'dan in that way, you're going to have to really commit. You're not going to have those engage options. You may find yourself feeling a little vulnerable, actually. So it's an interesting choice. The Malfurion ban, Twilight Dream's gotten some value over the course of this set. I understand that. 2 heroes to select now. Do you take your support now and leave that last option open? Or do you just save your support for last?
We'll find out. I kind of like the idea of just flexing that support option because it's already going to be limited. And running Uther, Tassadar, Rhaegar sounds admittedly weird. We've seen things like that in the past, but I think you're a little bit safe to leave that support option for last, unless you want to flex it like you said. I do like the idea of them grabbing their solo laner here at the bare minimum. I mean, they already got their ranged DPS. They need a solo lane. It could be Sonya. It could be something like Leo. They're going all the rack for LZ Gamer, so not the Sonya. And then Rhaegar. So tank pool still quite open. You know, Stitches, Johanna, even the Dahaka, who has seen very little prioritization in the series.
Yeah, and on this battleground, I don't think we'll see the dinosaur, but it could very well work. Alarak brings a lot to the proceedings here. Discord strike at the right time. You silence any of the heroes that are presently shown for Firm Handshake. That could be the difference maker and deciding factor of any team fight. The Rhaegar choice is definitely one of the best options left available to you, with Ariel, Malfurion banned, Uther, Tass already taken away from you. But I think they could have waited for Rhaegar. I mean, the damage has been done as far as supports go. They've already been banned out. You're not going to see a third support show up on the side of Firm Handshake. So why not just try to best position yourself to counteract what you're dealing with? Oh.
I was like, there's lots of good take options still on the table. They just go for the top 2 in their draft. They're running that lone assassin style, which is become quite prominent for a lot of different teams to just kind of run the just Vala or just Lunara, especially if you have that Tassadar to give them that flexibility to be as aggressive as they want. Lots of good follow-ups to the hook as well with this composition. Might even be a force wall game. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, when you have this much lockdown, you're almost incentivized to further add value to that by taking something like force wall as a shorter cooldown these days. It would be devastating on almost any of these heroes, save for a Nubarak who could potentially burrow away. You get hooked, dragged, stunned by Uther, potential Rain of Vengeance, and Force Wall. Like, you're just brought in. You're just there. So it's going to be really interesting to see who they round this out. I think Johanna would be the way to go. You put a blind on Vala, take a lot of the damage out of the equation, give yourself a lot of resiliency. But there's an argument to be made for Arthas as well, and that's who they're going to go for.
Double tank. A lot more DPS and combo potential on the side of Donkeys R Us when it comes to just like the full-on all-out team fight. But like you said, the picks could be devastating. Stitches might just bring you on a hell ride with that hook, and you're not coming back from a hell ride, let me tell you. So it's going to be an intense game, I feel, on Tomb of the Spider Queen. The series started out with like a really, really slow BOE where everyone was afraid to fight. Cursed Hollow tuned it up a bit, and I feel like Tomb is going to be a good one.
Yeah, looking at these two comps, the more I'm thinking about it, Jake, this feels like the game of commitments. Neither one of these compositions really have escape options. Like, you can use Horrify and maybe Telekinesis to get Alarak himself out of there, but it just feels like once either one of these teams press that button and engage, they're in it until it's over. And that's my favorite kind of Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah, man. It's the good stuff when you're going in, you're committing, and you're looking for them fights. Right now, this is a team fighting to take a not a victory, but a lead in this series as they're tied up 1-1 in a best of 5. And in the blue, that is Donkeys R Us, with LZ Gamer playing that Alarak Picante, right? I can't
Picante.
do it. Picante. God. Picante. On the, there he is on Gul'dan. Sliceblade playing Arthas. We got Elahim on the Rhaegar engine on Anubarak.
Over on the right side, we have the members of Firm Handshake. Vestige is on Dahaka. D-Steves is playing Vala. Necromongers is on Tassadar. Ayo is playing Uther, and Lex Uther will be trying to pull him in on Stitches. Curious to see how this early game goes. There's a lot of engage and pull potential on both of these teams. We see the hook go in, Telekinesis for the disengage. It's not going to work. There's the drag to follow up. They're going in hard. Slice Blade stepping forward, helping Alarak get out of there, posing a threat on Arthas. Sparks fly early on. Great feels, no takedowns.
I mean, it's like hook into combo into drag. Like, that's literally what a hell ride is. You're just getting pulled all over the place. And, you know, you managed to live, which is a big deal. It's rare that one survives a hell ride, and great peels from Donkeys R Us to maintain that situation. Now, this kind of like the state of this game, though. We're going to see so many moments where it's just chaos, force situations, and the double peel of that Anubarak and Arthas is going to be essential to save in those moments. But at the same time, you look at their ability to reciprocate those kind of those moments, like Telekinesis and Howling Blast and the double stun of the Anubarak, and it goes both ways.
Jake, I think it really speaks to the unabashed lethality of both of these teams as far as comps go. When you're like, he lived! Like, when you're
it's impressive,
yeah. When you commend someone for just surviving, you're dealing with some really dangerous compositions. And both of these teams have exactly that. It's like, we see point, counterpoint, hook, Telekinesis. Then we have the burrow. Then we have the stun from Uther. Then we have the drag. So it's just like, it's an unending chain of just gotchas that can just take you out. Positioning is going to be of the utmost importance.
Yeah. All right, so it is going to be the corruption style too, which is something I really like since it's this very brawly, like combo-oriented style. There's going to be a lot of moments where teams are clumped as 4 or 5, and that just gives options for Drake to just throw out those big corruptions on Gul'dan. He's already got 10 stacks, farmed up for it, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad start at all to the overall proceedings. It's an investment towards the late game. It stands to pay off. Like, we see a lot of the Fell Blast. Actually, Arthas finds himself a long way from home.
Elahim has too.
Right, he's like, vaya con Dios, buddy. You might be stuck out there, but they don't press the issue, he gets up.
Okay, it looks like Arthas tapped the well, so he'll be able to sustain his lane for the time being. LZ is stuck in a 3v1 situation, forcing Picante to rotate up and give him some assistance just with that Fell Flame. And, it's pretty darn even overall. It's slight gem count for the moment here. Advantage for Firm Handshake, but a lot of just safe posturing, roaming around, trying to find those kills.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to see. If we looked at both of these comps and thought that 3 minutes and 14 seconds into the game, there'd be 0 takedowns, I would have been like, you're crazy, especially with both of these teams, but it just speaks to their ability to endure, survive, and position themselves properly. It's pretty impressive. LZ Gamer goes for the telekinesis, does miss the Discord strike there. Vestige, potential target down bottom. Action all across the board. I feel bad for Miwa, man. He's got a lot to keep up with.
Yeah, shout out to Miwa, though. Doing an awesome job with the option.
Yeah.
This is going to be 14 gems dropped off and just about enough for a turn, and looks like they do now have enough, and they just found a kill on the Nuba Rat. So this is a potential big victory for them, but Lex Luthor, oh, the Discord strike not going to meet up with the Fell Flame flying on through for the kill.
Bacante, you know that meme where the guy like spreads the salt around, like at the grill? That's exactly what Bacante just did. That was a max range Fell Blast to secure that takedown. Nicely done. I thought he was actually out of there. That was close.
Getting that kill kind of stabilizes the situation a little bit because it doesn't give them that free snap turn in and then, you know, snowball into a quicker level 7 where they can probably get a lot more done with the Web Weaver than they're going to get done now. You know, pending, we'll see. Level 7 is achieved for Donkeys R Us first, and they've been able to even the gem count turn in, but Ghoul Dan just got killed in the top part of the map, and he drops a bunch of gems in the process, about 8, I think it was, and Heyo's bringing them up to 46.
Lex Luthor, Heyo, watered down some of the seasoning that is Picante.
Cleanse.
Take down, gold down, cleanse, get some value. Heyo, Lex Luthor, fine Jin trying to turn in 48. If Elheim's able to turn in, that would be the first set of Web Weavers, but 26 in the piggy bank for firm handshake. They're not too far away either, and they get it. They get the first set of Web Weavers of the game.
Yeah, you know, potential nice moment for them here. We'll see what the defense is like. Golden, of course, does have arguably the best clear in the game when it comes to dealing with big pushes coming on through. And we do see Alaric rotating in, looking for the telekinesis. D-Steves is pulled in. Discord Strike is solid as well. The corruption goes in. Beautiful burrow. And D-Steves has the poison trickling down, but that shield's come through from Tassadar to keep him alive. He is pressured back and unable to get any self-sustain from that shield, but still good to keep him alive.
A nice response from members of Firm Handshake to keep Bala alive. A lesser team, that would have been a dead Demon Hunter for sure. There's another telekinesis into a Discord Strike. The shield was there, though, to negate a good amount of that burst. Lex Luthor gets knocked off of the mount thanks to Beta Bars, which has been getting a lot of value as far as interrupts and just further stalling things out go. Web Weavers, for the most part, have been dealt.
Yeah, and speaking of value, this has been a 4v5 situation this whole time. Arthas has been able to farm that bottom lane and maintain experience. Typically, when you get a turn in, you expect to see an experienced lead. However, that additional soak that Arthas has achieved in the bottom lane for his team just basically makes that lead non-existent. They're the ones that are now threatening a turn in. 2 gems are needed, so just about anyone can like walk in and glance to, you know, look at the coffers, just take a glance and get themselves a turn in.
Yeah, I think that speaks to the brandishing effect of that early engagement. Slice Blade, a potential target. Blue Web Weavers are going to be here. And as far as responses to Siege go, plenty of action. Telekinesis, nice juke from LZ Gamer. He's able to get out of there. Vestige burrows in, tries to make himself an issue. Gets the drag onto one of the new Brax Beetles. That feels bad.
Does feel bad. And that was a nice, self-telekinesis, as you mentioned, for LZ to get out of harm's way and stay alive. Level 10 will be a little bit quicker here on the side of Firm Handshake, but Donkeys R Us not too far off. Should have that momentarily to utilize with their Web Weavers, see how much push they can get done with this first summon of theirs.
Jake, we're going to see a whole different kind of texture to these team fights with Rogues coming on board. Lex Luthor is hung out to absolutely dry. No rotation, no hope, no one around. Stitch is going to get taken down. Luthor and the crew do finally show up, but that's a huge enabler to get the first forward of the game potential.
That was really nice from LZ. Well, oftentimes you see a telekinesis go out and you immediately follow up with that Discord Strike, and he was just waiting, predicting that he would use a D-Shift. And, you know, burning D-Shift, it's such a long cooldown for Tassadar. Like, it's, 30 seconds. He's still got another 10 seconds. So it just makes him have to play so much safer in those moments.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like you're forcing out a heroic when you have that dimensional shift get used as a response to what you're doing. There's a horrify goes in, the hook, drag as well. Stitch is a potential target. Conte, they dive in. Nice. Jin for the peel. Nicely done there. It's Twilight. Was that a double Discord Strike silence, actually? And Rhaegar gets caught, dragged out of position, taken down.
That hurts. That hurts. I was gonna say, like, that was a really beautiful execution of, you know, the majority of that fight, and then yeah, Rhaegar got caught out, which definitely isn't ideal. Jhin has 30 gems on his person, and 17 have been dropped off. So if he's able to drop on down, that's basically the majority of the labor needed for their turn. And Rhaegar's still not here, which is why these health bars are just slowly just depleted. But Bacante is fighting back, getting some nice DPS of his own. D. Steves drops off about 23 gems, I think it was. Elheim is now finally returning to the battle as they are engaging hard. Corruption is very scary with that Echoed Corruption.
There's a nice hook. There's the telekinesis from LZ Gamer. Cleanse as well. There's the burrow. They commit heavily. Syndragosa comes out to play. The root goes in on Lex Luthor afterwards. Ancestral Healing is going to connect. There's the Impale Vestige. A potential target to say at the very least. 29 gems now on the floor. Heyo scoops them up, but he might find himself waiting to respawn as well after that. D shields himself. Still body block. Jhin and Slice Blade leave him saying, excuse me, I'd like to, oh wait, I'm nice body.
And thanks for the gems as they drop into the nether. LZ Gamer just wiggling around, making sure no one can step on in there. And 13 is around the corner from Donkey Zeros. Well, deserving that level lead now after this big fight. They're going to get their next Web Weaver turn in momentarily. Those final 7 gems, or 3 gems, excuse me, going on in. And looking really good this game. Syndragosa, a little bit unexpected, to be honest with you.
I didn't expect to see it either. You're dealing with a single support comp against double. One would think, hey, maybe I should get some sustain. Maybe I just wait in there and drop the Army of the Dead. But I think that raised the brow of even firm Handshake. They saw Syndragosa come out and they were like, wait, what?
Yeah,
that slow was impactful, man. As was the damage. It really helped them out.
Dude, like, you land a big Syndragosa and you just let Gul'dan go to town too. That's scary. Or you have the Web Weavers and you want to put on a huge push. Also, a really good situation for it. So they're actually putting that pressure on Necromongers right now. D-Shift has been burned. Can they find the kill? He's going for the straight rotation. Discord Strike will connect. Silence is Necro, and down he goes. Good collapse into that bottom lane. They'll get the bottom fort as well. That's going to be about the end of their push with the Web Weavers. Regardless, that's well worth.
It may not be the end, Jake. Syndragosa is back online. If they really look to press this issue, they could have a pretty sizable window where they can keep this Web Weaver alive to get maximum value. And I think that's what they're going to do. LZ Gamer getting into position. Jhin throws hanging out there looking for the Impale and Burrow opportunity. They have not yet dropped Syndragosa. The Web Weaver is going to get taken down. Well, I guess it was just too low on health. Yeah. That's the one thing about the Web Weaver objective compared to the other objectives. They have a finite amount of time they can exist. But there's the Syndragosa with a beautiful Horrify, and the combo going on in. Stitches dies. Look at these split, and Vestige is the next target. That a beautiful Cocoon denying Tassadar from having any impact in this fight as he immediately has to retreat with that D-Shift, which is now on cooldown. Divine Shield was used on Vestige, and they're still diving in on the point. Heyo is so low. The Death Coil button at 29 HP, but it wasn't enough. But Necromongers is so deep out here. They dove in the hard way for that takedown. It almost cost them. Uther had 29 health before being able to skate out of there. But again, that was a situation where Firm Handshake asked for that. They were the aggressors. They chased after the members of Donkeys R Us who pulled a perfect judo move, used that aggression against them. Syndragosa once again came out to play, set up quite a bit into the bottom keep.
Dude, I'm loving this, like, Syndragosa, Mosh Pit, being big variables in these fights, and they're not at all traditionally what we're seeing. Now that it's level 16 on the table, we're looking at Ruinous Affliction, and that's going to suck to be on the receiving end. We've got the Rising Storm with Earth Shield, and this is not at all the most common of Arthas builds, of Rhaegar builds, but paired with a hero like Arthas, I mean, Rising Storm really hurts too. So a lot of DPS to combat this double support and the self-sustain of the other heroes to mitigate the lack of their second support.
Oh, it's going to be a power spike to consider for sure. You might want to wish you had 8 supports with the damage that could potentially get dropped onto the very front of your face.
Look at Rising Storm right now. Oh, yeah, Divine Shield had to be used, so you didn't actually get to see the impact of it, but it was going to be so good with Jhin. Beautiful Horrify. Down goes Vala. Lex Uther is going to fall as well.
Vala's health vanished before our very eyes. That was terrifying to watch. Counter-Strike is going to proc. There's the nice telekinesis. Bring him on back. There's the Discord Strike. Burrow afterwards. Dahaka gets taken down, leaving just Necromongers alive. The lethality of this composition, Jake.
Donkeys R Us just say, thanks for the gems. These web weavers are going to accomplish very, very little. Clean them up, and they should just be able to grab the boss. They have 16 advantage. Anub is already working on the bottom one, and they can make their way to mid. And Dahaka, I guess the whole team will be up, so maybe they won't with the boss, but we'll see.
I mean, you have to be riding a sense of confidence and bravado after taking a team fight with such dominant expression. Level 16 is not going to be here for Firm Handshake if the boss does come online, but there's a hook. Elheim is in potential trouble. You can't ancestral healing yourself. There's the shield. There's the healing. These Steve's lowered armor wasn't able to take down Rhaegar. That could have been huge.
I've seen so many Stitches lately like go for the chase with Putrid Bile, and it doesn't give you that much movement speed, so it just kind of looked like a wasted heroic in that moment. It's only 50-second cooldown, so it'll be ready by the time they actually need it, so no harm, no foul, most likely. But they do need to farm up for that level 16, which is pretty darn close here for Firm Handshake.
Yeah, the window is starting to close as far as tier advantage goes. That would be in favor of Donkeys R Us. They have 80 gems. They have plenty of time to try to turn in or at least force out a potential defense from Firm Handshake that they could firmly capitalize on. Slice Blade, Burrow goes in, gets the
Lex Uther.
He's getting slowed down. Elheim wants to get involved. Blue set of weapon weavers. Telekinesis. Divine Shield has a thing or two to say. Helps him get out of there.
I can't believe he got away. The Divine Shield gave him that one option. They weren't in position for that top right corner body block out of fear of maybe Dahaka swooping in, dragging someone into a vulnerable situation. They did get their gems turned in, however, and that's going to enable them to get this march on. What lane will they prioritize? Bottom will push itself with the catapults very, very quickly, so they're looking at this top to bring the fight with 16 in tow. Maybe they can fight back here for Firm Handshake, but Vala is looking a little secluded. Big focus on the Vestige.
Arkeys go in, health bars immediately start to drop. A Firm Handshake. Dahaka is going to be first to fall. The Burrow goes in, long range on the Necromongers, forces out the dimensional shift. These Steves on the flank. That's not where you want to be if you're Vala. Running back, trying to get out of there, diverts the attention of Donkeys R Us and actually allows DCs to potentially get away. Best case scenario.
LZ is hunting. He's hunting one more zippity zap. Give it to him. Nani?
Telekinesis?
Nani? Huh. Boop. Boop. Yeah.
Actually ends up delaying what could have very well been the inevitable. I don't know if that was
we'll see. Bottom is already on that point with catapults in tow. So this is definitely not a great position to be in. The shields are going down very quickly, and we see that Storm Shield being popped because they have that level 20 locked in. Can they hold on? Elheim is being chased out of this fight.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a Herculean effort from Firm Handshake if they try to continue this game. Hayo's low on health. He might actually wanted to die to try to add some added sustain. We see the cocoon get used. Doesn't get too much value. The core is at 87%. Slice Blade starting to back away. Lex Luthor goes fishing. The Discord Strike is going to land on Tassidar's face, who gets ejected from the proceedings. 14 takedowns to 30.
Dude, LZ's Discord Strikes have just made this so difficult. And in so many moments for Firm Handshake, like the key playmakers for the shields or the heals, Uther, Tassadar, constantly just getting lit up, and oftentimes is resulting in kills either on that target or on someone else. And Divine Shield forced out immediately. Sure, it saves him from the Syndragosa, but Horrified actually gets 0 value. That's a big mistake.
Yeah, that gets no value whatsoever, and that's huge. That's a cooldown that could potentially enable some pretty big plays here. Lex Luthor stepping forward. He's potentially looking for a hook. This is fast becoming a desperate last-ditch effort for the members of Firm Handshake. They are so far away from hitting level 20, but they just cannot play it passively. If 2 keeps down, they have to try to make something happen.
The DPS of Gul'dan, 77,000. Corruption getting the extreme value in this game. Hook is good onto LZ Gamer. They're looking for the combo. He does pop that. A little bit of overlap with the Ancestral Heal and the Counter-Strike that was used, and LZ Gamer will in turn die. This is a 17 versus 8 or versus 20 fight, and it's now a 4v5 favoring Firm Handshake. We're trying to make the most of it.
D-Steves came in with the old strafe and immediately got cocooned for their trouble. Heads up play from Jin on their part. Core is going to see some problems here. 2 catapults. We might see a little bit of deja vu even potentially going the other way around.
Oh, no.
But that was a gutsy play that paid off for the members of Firm Handshake. They ventured into the depths without their level 20 to get that takedown. It's pretty nice.
Okay. Horrify in 2 seconds. Boss being attempted. It's still a 4v5. Necromongers immediately getting a lot of DPS on him. The boss is still hitting Tassadar, and Necromongers is almost gets stomped. We do see Dahaka burrowing at the last possible moment here, but Message gets Divine Shield staying alive.
Somehow maintains the Divine Shield is not going to be enough ultimately, and the health bars immediately collapse in harmony, leaving just D-Steves alive. The last-ditch effort is not going to pay off. They don't even need the boss at this point, Jake. They're just going to take that easy stroll over to the core and call it GG.
The boss ended up being the 5th member of the team. The entire fight, he was damaging Firm Handshake. And, dude, the boss hurts. He hurts a lot. In those moments where you go to beta boss, you can't be taking all that damage. And that ended up being very costly. Also, just the fact that their tank got, was so deep in that fight. Dahaka, I don't even know how he got that deep when he burrowed. They kept him alive, but ended up costing them dearly, and that puts Donkeys R Us at a 2-1 lead.
I think they got a little hasty, and I think they fell victim to a measure of short-sightedness. They were riding the momentum of getting that takedown. They were like, hey, we got to keep trying to make something happen. So they go for the boss. I think if they just decided to bait that instead and not eat the damage from the boss, they would have fared a lot better. And also, it was clutch and cheeky micro play to get that Divine Shield on the Dahaka afterwards. But if you didn't have the cooldowns to patch him back up afterwards, throwing Divine Shield in him was probably not the way to go. I think if they saved that for Avala and allowed them to position forward and get the maximum amount of damage, they would have fared better. It's just 2 decisions that ultimately cost them. But keep in mind, these 2 teams are evenly matched. So it is going to come down to the most minute of things that have huge impacts. So when it sounds like we're being overly critical, it's just because they're so evenly matched. It comes down to those small decisions that have a huge difference factor. So it's really cool to watch.
Speaking of small decisions, if we were to, just kind of rewind the narrative to the end of game 1, we saw this little small decision where this is the base of Donkeys R Us, who are now up 2-1, tournament point potentially, and just watch, the health is pretty darn low in that keep. They stepped away for a little bit. They might have thought, oh no, we're good. We got 10%, we're good. We're good. I'm a phase shift out of here. You got this. It's not, catapult's not an issue.
It's cool.
Ooh.
Actually.
Feels bad. So I don't know if that was defensible. Maybe it was. Regardless, that's
that was hastiness on the part of Donkeys R Us. I think if they just had Val and Brightwing fully commit to clearing out the Immortal and the bot wave, their core would have taken some damage one way or the other, but they would have still been in the game. They may not have been able to end per se, but it would have kept the game going. And if they did manage to pull that game out, the set would be over right now.
Yeah.
But
and
instead,
they'd be Bloodlustians.
Yeah, Bloodlustians.
I don't know why I said that, but that's what our competitors
I like it.
We're committed, boys. So Hold It Down did qualify kind of by default. They had a really convincing victory over Import Support in the quarterfinals, and unfortunately their semifinal team had a family emergency and had to back away. This means that they will be the 5th team to join the ranks of Bloodlust. We have Roll20, we have Gale Force Esports, Tempo Storm, and Team Freedom as the other 4. And it is game point right now for the guys over at Donkeys R Us to potentially earn themselves a spot in Bloodlust as well.
Yeah, and Bloodlust is the premier Pro-Am tournament in no other place where you see professional HTC teams clash with the best and brightest of the North American amateur scene. The prize pool right now is over $4,000, a huge response from the community. But there's still time to add to plenty of things. I know there's that hot pepper goal out there still floating around.
Yeah,
I know people really loved that last year.
And It's basically me, Zoya, and Dunk Train eating a habanero pepper, or collectively, we'll each eat our own, I guess. But we'll see when we get there. That's going to be a lot of fun. 73% of that has been funded, and all of that money just goes to the prize pool. It's just like a fun way to we'll each eat our own, I guess. But we'll see when we get there. That's going to be a lot of fun. 73% of that has been funded, and all of that money just goes to the prize pool. It's just like a fun way to raise money for the prizing. We are going to Sky Temple for game number 4 in this best of 5.
Do they swap sides? I think it's still firm handshake on the right.
Okay. I'm
pretty sure. The Ariel ban says yes.
Yeah, it really does.
They really love the ban out there, Ariel. Like, just no matter what. It just seems like a non-negotiable. I'd be really curious to hear their insight on that. Donkeys R Us on the left side now have a ban themselves. We've seen Uther see a lot of play. We've seen Genji be prioritized as a ban as well. We haven't seen much Dahaka or Malthael play, which is something of a surprise to me, especially for the Dahaka. But I think we'll see him here on Sky Temple.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Globals are just super, super impactful on this map. Such a tall map. The distance between top right and bottom is huge, and that's a surprise.
What this says to me is we might be very well looking down the barrel of a double warrior composition or some kind of high health pool. To see Malthael shoot up in prioritization, yeah, got a pretty good amount of value in instances that we've seen him, but I think this is the first time from Donkeys R Us we're seeing him be prioritized that heavily. Wondering if that's going to be the beginning of a shift in priority.
So suddenly, like the heroes of LZ Gamer, you've seen him play like a lot of Malthael. You know, they opt to take it away. And I'm curious what he has in mind. We oftentimes see him on the global Illidan. Uther's seems like a guarantee to me, but they could do the Tassadar if they prefer that here, of course. And Anoob's already been locked in. If you see Tass, it's going to be Uther.
I'm wondering if we're going to see Firm Handshake abandon this Tassadar double support lineup. Yeah, it's gotten him value, but it hasn't gotten him ahead in this series.
No.
And it seems like, particularly in the last game, like, yeah, it saved people's bacon every now and again, but did it do enough to actually... But did it do enough to actually turn the tide of the team fight or get them ahead? I don't know. I don't think so, and I think maybe if they go for another outright damage dealer, they'd fare better. But we'll see.
Well, it's time for the bans. Oh, no, excuse me. What am I thinking? Time for 2 more picks, as they've just got that Genji. And Dahaka seems very likely to me. Beyond that, it's, you know, like you mentioned, the Tassadar seems like a great option. But so far, it isn't yielding wins.
Yeah, and I mean, that's something you have to consider, especially in these tournament settings when so much is on the line. They're going to go a different way. Diablo, Li Ming. Okay, we saw Diablo ban earlier from Donkeys R Us against Firm Handshake. So they do get that warrior selection, potential pocket pick or something to that effect. But you have to consider in these tournament settings, you know, it's not Hero League. It's not Team League. It's not just like, let's just do the meta and nothing else. Sometimes you have to gauge what value you've been getting out of the selections that you've made. And it's like, yeah, Tassadar is a strong pick, sure. But if it's not winning us games and we have the hero pool to justify going a different way, we might want to try to shake things up. And I think that's what we're seeing with the Diablo pick.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's the mix-up, and it's also, to me, it's saying they know a little bit about Donkeys R Us. Like, maybe it's targeted towards one of the heroes LZ might be playing. Could that be Alarak? Maybe. Maybe they think Diablo is a great way to just keep... Alarak, you know, telekinesis is technically a self-mobility option, but oftentimes you're engaging with it. And once you spend that, you're super reliant on the Uther saving your hide in those moments. So, yeah.
I did really enjoy seeing LZ Gamer's Alarak, though. He used... his abilities to full effect in a wily fashion. Normally you just see like telekinesis, Discord Strike right after. All right, guys, I'm just kind of auto attacking and using E to sustain myself. but he really staggered the abilities out. It made it really hard to time the dimensional shift properly. He used telekinesis both as a movement tool for himself, as a disengage weapon, as well as to pull someone forward in its most traditional sense. So if I'm on the side of Donkeys R Us, I'm not worried at all about going back to the Alarak. Well, I'd strongly consider that.
Yeah, he's looked very good on it. They've got a lot of lockdown follow-up. Ooh. Leaving the last pick in the air. Was it a howl?
You know, it kind of turned into them. It really did. Ow!
I like it. I like it. Dahaka is going to be their global. We talked about his power on this map already. He's going to be very good in the solo lane. Greymane for the burst. Onto that Diablo, which is a big oaf of a target that you can just throw those zippity-zap bullets in his face. Last two picks here. Got to get a big support. I mean, Rhaegar seems like a solid one. And
I would agree with that. Yeah, I think you got to go Rhaegar here, Ancestral Healing. You got to get something to justify this Diablo pick. Diablo diving in with Li Ming's burst. Genji jumps in as well. That could be enough to secure a takedown, especially on a squishier warrior like a Nubrak, Uther, or Greymane. But you got to have something to back up that dive, because once Diablo's in there, he's in there. Illidan is going to come out to play, but okay, they're going to go a different way and have Malfurion be the only warrior.
This is weird. This is weird.
Yeah.
Like, it could be fantastic. But I don't know.
Diablo gets a dive buddy in Illidan.
I guess, yeah.
But my concern is Guardian of the Ancient Kings shows up at 7, and whoever they engage on gets 50 armor, and then Malfurion doesn't have the sustain. I mean, you actually will hear Genji say, "I need healing this game." Malfurion's only got 1 Q, and every hero outside of Malfurion is generally in a role or in a position where you're like, okay, the support needs to back that hero up. Diablo dives in, the support has to back up and justify that engage. Illidan jumps in, you gotta enable the Illidan. Li Ming gets caught out of position. That's probably the safest of the 4. Can just hang out on the fringe and teleport back at a moment's notice. Genji jumps in, I need healing. I'm worried for the sustain options that Firm Handshake have afforded themselves here.
It's gonna be a weird game. These are not at all common drafts. There's a lot of power that can be attained. And the thing with Firm Handshake is, if they snowball, like resets from Dragonblade and just finding kills for Li Ming, giving her resets, and Illidan just kind of going and cleaning up, they just roll over. And if they get momentum on their side, like, they become almost unstoppable. But it goes both ways. If they fall behind, it's going to be so hard to climb back in.
You make a really good point. I mean, for better or worse, Firm Handshake's composition is very short-sighted. It's like, hey guys, it'll be fine. We'll just dive in and blow somebody up and we'll steamroll and we'll look awesome, great. And they're like, okay, cool. But the flip side of that is the flip side of that is they go for that, they don't get the takedown, and then they're just caught with their pants down, just like, oh, all right, well, I guess we just die now. We'll see. It's gutsy.
Well, I do have a small announcement to make. We just confirmed that we're going to have a best of 5 series at 9 p.m. on Tuesday night between Superstars and Even in Death as one of our final qualifiers. It's basically a it's an HGC best of 5 show match for a spot in Bloodlust, and we're still pending the No Tomorrow versus Naventic show match. But that'll be Tuesday night, 9 p.m. If we get Naventic and No Tomorrow to face off, that'll be Monday night, 9 p.m. But this right now is our best of 5 between Donkeys R Us and Firm Handshake. And Donkeys R Us are 1 game away from finding their way into Bloodlust, whereas Firm Handshake are trying to hold on with this unorthodox draft.
Unorthodox, to say the very least. I used the word gutsy, and I would have to echo that. I mean, you're laying it all on the line. This could be a potential tournament lives on the line, the last game of Bloodlust 2017 for you, and you go with a composition that seems pretty at odds with itself. Curious to see what kind of value they get.
it could be amazing. Like, there's a lot of potential in this composition. Just the sheer DPS output of Genji, Illidan, and Li Ming is scary. But Uther Armor is a pretty useful tool for dealing with a lot of DPS.
I agree. I feel like the onus is going to be on Firm Handshake to make this comp seem worth it before level 7, and you don't do that by dropping Diablo at level 2. I feel like they need to have a dominant showing and create a snowball effect before Guardian of the Ancient Kings comes online. But if they're losing heroes this early, I don't know if they'll be able to do that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's I think falling behind is the scariest thing about these kind of compositions. I always felt that way about Illidan. It feels like once you're behind, it's like so difficult to come back. And we do have those first 2 temples available. And the thing is, there is a global advantage with the Dahaka until, of course, Hunt is picked up, if that's the way they opt to play this. Raymond is being left alone in the bottom lane right now, too, and he's even pushing in. Like, the ammunition from those towers is going away, and he's got half a tower for free before Vestige even made his way down.
Yeah, I mean, you're already down a full level. This is well starting to approach that border of we've fallen behind, guys, in a comp where we can't really afford to fall behind. What do we do? At that point, it's going to require some help from the enemy team. They're going to need to make a mistake, but he YOLO's in. Lex Luthor doesn't get immediately punished for it. Jin is able to burrow out, so they should be able to come away with the rest of these temple shots, but Doc was up here the whole time, just living his life.
Greymane getting a lot of push down bottom. You know, that's going to set them up nice for the next phase. He already realizes that the rotation is going to be on its way, so he falls back to the giant camp. Like, really, really nice decision making here. And yeah, Dahaka finishes up the top final shots, and the red shrine will finish up that mid shrine will finish up the shots onto the mid lane. But experience, it's full level lead already, and that's just rough here for Firm Handshake.
That's not what you want on A, this battleground, or B, with this comp, to be down an entire level 3 minutes in. Pulse Bomb goes in, tickles Necromongers, not easy enough to take down there. Lex Luthor jumps in, it's a full commitment over a siege camp, no less. Gonna see Illidan get rocked for his trouble.
Oh, man.
Feels
this is really, really rough. They knew Dahaka could burrow in, and they almost just didn't respond to the Brush Talker as it came into that bush right under their feet. They actually ended up diving on the point, so desperate to maintain that camp, and they're in a really rough spot. They do manage to miss the pulse bomb here, however, on the Picante.
Doesn't matter. Oh, actually, these team shows up. Zips dashes over Li Ming. Now, what's really interesting to me about that whole siege camp progression is that it's a siege camp. And normally you're like, I'm not going to invest too much, like over a siege camp, less than 4 minutes in the game. I'm not going to send my whole team in there. But I think that was a team fight not for a siege camp, but for the very soul of this game. And for Donkeys oh my god. Illidan's going to get taken down in the most casual manners. The Necromongers might be able to capitalize further off of this, but looks like Slice Blade strolls away. But when you invest that heavily in a siege camp, you're just looking to make a psychological statement. You're like, anything you try to do, we're here, we're going to shut you down. We're just trying to snap your will in this game. And we may have seen that happen.
Yeah, this Bruiser camp, they were able to pick it up so much quicker than their opponents. And yes, it's true that the Bruiser camp on the top lane left up there during the next tribute could get a lot of value, but they're not even given the flexibility to even consider that right now. Big damage coming in though, a pulse bomb onto DC after he uses the deflect, but they're looking at Jin as the juicy morsel of their dreams. However, they can't quite attain it, as we saw Greymane just rip the throat of Genji out cleanly.
That is the mark of a really good tank, and Jin is exactly that. I mean, he effectively baited that aggression. He had Burrow up for a while there, but he allowed himself to eat enough damage to draw in the interest of their opponent before he was able to successfully burrow out and not die, and then the response was another takedown. Nicely done on Jin's part. And right now, Jake, I mean, Donkeys R Us are well in control of this game.
They are. They're in such a phenomenal position. You see Dahaka is just getting a free shrine to the bottom. Burrow just gets a free pop-up on Genji. But LZ Gamer is over the wall. Divine Shield has to be used as level 10 has been attained for them. This should keep them alive for a fair bit of time. Hammer of Justice over the wall also being useful to deny Lex Luthor any kind of flip or, repositioning up LZ. So he does walk away from this one. Dahaka's still in the bottom, and it's a 3-level lead. Monster start to this game.
Yeah, you're up 3 levels. You have your heroics. You got the entire second temple at no charge to yourself. You push through the top keep wall. And you're able to get out of there. Someone gets put over the wall, and you still come away without losing any heroes. You just have to feel good about your position in this game, and as long as you continue at this pace, it feels like it's yours to win.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. I talked about this before the game even started with this draft. The whole like Illidan, Genji, Li Ming. Once you're behind, it just feels terrible. It feels impossible to win fights with that kind of composition. There are still tools that can do that. Once at level 10, they can still get a big Twilight Dream Dragon Blade to turn this game around, but they're still a full level away from level 10 Crucible, and onto DCFs, he has to dash away. At least he's able to slip into the shadows this time.
Yeah, he was able to get out of there, and I mean, you know, last game we talked about, you know, it's really something when you say like, oh, they survived, but that was because just the raw spectacle of those compositions. And you're like, he got away. It's just because they're on the defensive so much. Yeah, yeah. And Donkeys R Us are in such a commanding position that you're like, wow, they were actually able to get away. Like, that's not what you want to be commended for in a situation, but that's best case scenario for a really struggling Firm Handshake right now.
And, you know, this is the best case scenario for them, too. They should be able to defend the bottom keep. They had to leave Diablo in the mid lane because they're desperate for level 10 right now. Unfortunately for them, they still don't have 10, even though they will moments from now, but 13 will be achieved around the same time. Dahaka was defending the Bruiser camp at the top lane, but in turn getting tons of experience for his team, and it's a double shrine spawn. We saw the top lane get pressured, the bottom lane get pressured, and those are the 2 shrines that are on the map now. So regardless of which one they decide to flip-flop, if that's how to do, I mean, they could be losing a keep here only 8 minutes into this game, basically. Lex Luthor Shadow charges deep, and he's gonna die.
He had to do that just to try to get some kind of value out of what was assured to be his death. There's a nice Twilight Dream, though. That could set up a lot. These Steves has an absolute field day. Takes down a couple of people. It's going to be 3 in total down on the side of Donkeys R Us. Drag goes in, potentially turning things around. There's a stun from Elheim. He's able to get out afterwards. There's a shish kebab onto Dahaka. He is able to burrow out of there and avoid all of that. But if we were looking for merit and value out of this composition, Jake, that was it.
We said that is their winning condition at this point. Twilight Dream, Dragon Blade. That is how they bring it back. They got 3 kills. They're still very far behind, but this gives them some structure on the board, right? They're controlling 2 shrines for a moment. Illidan has to be careful here. This Illidan did go hunt, so he can use that to reposition if given the option. He's repositioning away, getting away from Elheim's Hammer of Justice, and then hunting away to those minions that are deep. Good retreat from Vestige.
Fantastic micro play from Vestige there. He was trying to get away from Uther like he had cooties. He's like, if I get in range at all, that's going to be an instant stun and an instant death. So his ability to get out of there and then hunt out of there shows his resourcefulness. Nicely done. What we see right now, Jake, is a Firm Handshake showing signs of life.
And it's great. It's what I want to see. They're about to be in the same talent tier, and this is going to give them a window in which they can try to make something happen. However, that's what Donkeys R Us fear. They don't want them to have that opportunity, so they're diving. They're going to take out this bottom keep, make sure it's dead here. That bottom shrine throws its last few shots onto the mid lane as a result, and they are forcing everyone to recoil back into their base. Now, it's 13 to 15, again, even talent tier. So this isn't necessarily a favorable scenario for Donkeys R Us to go full YOLO ham. But if they get a free kill on Diablo, that could be nice. Shadow Charge Apocalypse combo, but Divine Shield is clutch, denying that hunt coming in from Illidan.
Twilight Dream is still available. We see the Picante trying to get value off of this Tracer. D-Steves is low on health. Twilight Dream did ultimately go in, not netting the value that it got last time. Jin's a potential target. The new Breck is going to go down. Vestige has a full health bar, could potentially go off here. D-Steve somehow survives, as does Heyo. Slice Blade has to Gildan Cocktail on the back of the face is going to send Malfurion out of there. LZ Gamer could be the next target. Trying to get away, get the Q, get the E, tries the dash out. This is crazy, Jake.
Dude, Dahaka brush-stalkered up to the top thinking the engagement was over, and that actually worked very, very much against them in all of that. Now, that could have been like a full-on team wipe favoring Donkeys R Us. Sure, they got the kill or two, but wow, what a crazy little dance that was.
These last couple of team fights, Jake, have been nothing short of miraculous for the members of Firm Handshake. We theorize once you fall this far behind, you're going to need some help from the enemy team. You need them to make mistakes, and unfortunately, that's what we're seeing happen from Donkeys R Us. Slice Blade burrowing up top, thinking that the whole party was over, only helped out the members of Firm Handshake and could potentially pave the way for them to get back into this game.
Yeah, I mean, this is another window that's going to be tough for them. 16 has been picked up, and yeah, we're seeing the Bruiser camps collected as the shrine will be a solo shrine in the middle of the map. I feel like they are going to have to concede at least the first half of the shrine just because 16 is indeed problematic. But at the same time, they've already shown that with Apocalypse, Twilight Dream, and Dragon Blade, they can take fights down. So maybe they're just going to YOLO and go for it, acknowledging losing more structures in this point in the game is not a good thing.
There's Apocalypse. It's only going to get a little bit of value. Vestige jumps in, tries to throw his weight around. Dahaka burrows up. Slice Blade wants to get involved. No one wants to get dragged, so we do see the members of Firm Handshake back away. One temple is up, not the worst case scenario, but they're still going in without their 16s. This is a game.
Oh, D-Shield is used very early in this fight, but they're going onto Lex with their Pulse Bomb is going to be enough for that kill onto the Diablo, and that's fantastic for them. That actually just got picked up too with that Pulse Bomb. We do see the Cocoon being evaporated by that Disintegrate. Great usage of Disintegrate, but Heyo is ice blocking and then dying soon after.
Yeah, it's tough. When you use Ice Block like that, yeah, you've displayed that you have the micro ability to snap that in time, but all you're doing is allowing the enemy team to surround you and ultimately assure your death. So as a net result, you lose that cooldown, and you've further delayed your death. So you're operating at a net loss there. This is going to be at least the middle keep. Plenty of shots left on the temple. Dahaka's helping himself to that. The decision to go in there without their level 16, costly for Firm Handshake.
Ooh, Tracer just pulls him even deeper. Curse bullet onto Vestige. Vestige and D-Steves are both so low. And of course, Malfurion has not respawned yet. So that makes it really impossible for him to safely re-engage on this. But they find a kill onto Tracer. And that's about as much as you could hope for.
When you're going against Genji, that's what you have to watch out for. If you're at the 20% health mark and you're a squishy like Tracer,
Scheiße.
he could show up.
Scheiße.
But, uh-oh, this might be a little bit of Winions action.
There's a 5th catapult. It's a party.
This is going to be rough. I don't know if Genji alone is going to be enough to deal with all this. We could see some instance of deja vu. The minions do show up at the right time, though, minimizing the damage.
89 health left on the core. And Dahaka and Uther currently in the top lane, and that's something that they can see. So they're like, well, we're safe to invade. Small victory here, 16-18 right now from Handshake. Still holding on to this game. Those Giants will help them deal with the catapult pressure in the bottom, but they have to worry about catapults in the mid as well now, and that top keep is already very low. Boss play of desperation. This is their final stand.
Yeah, Tracer will be up and should not get here in time if this gets burned down fast enough. So this last-ditch gamble effort didn't pay off for them last time, but it looks like the members of Donkeys R Us are not willing to tempt fate. There's the root, there's the Shadow Overcharge, there's the Shadow follow-up as well. Apocalypse goes in, not getting any value. Jin's a target.
I don't know. Jin's been locked in for a long time. I mean, it kept him hanging out for far longer than he would ever want to be. Picante does end up getting pulled in pulled into that hunt, which wasn't the best either, and they're on the defensive while that boss is getting free reign on the bottom fort. Uh-oh.
Slice Blade is going to show Dahaka has value on a global scale. Should be able to walk through this last keep. Illidan did burrow back. Heads up decision making by the members of Firm Handshake, but that cursed bullet goes in. Diablo gets shredded. Oh, no.
That feels terrible. Vestige is forced to go back to base to clean up 15 seconds before he has Hunt available. So effectively, this is a 4v3 in the bottom half of the map. That is going to be a dead Heyo once again. Icebox just buying them a little bit of time for the other members to make their way back to base. 2 shrines will end the game if they're given.
The value had out of the early siege pressure put the members of Firm Handshake in a near impossible situation. You gotta send Illidan back to respond to the global pressure brought to you by Slice Blade. That creates an opportunity to get the takedown or 2 that they needed. Donkeys R Us, pull it out.
Congratulations to Donkeys R Us. You know, they had a rough end to game number 1, but 3 really well-played games in this series, qualifying as the 6th team to join the ranks of Bloodlust. Hold it down, and Donkeys R Us, the 2 amateur teams that are not in the HGC Pro League. And Bloodlust is shaping up to be a dope event.